After Chen Xiang and Shui Bingyan saved Yue, Wu Tsang, the second in command of the Star Moon Divine Race, started to attack crazily in the Star Graveyard. He didn't know who saved Yue, but before he could even see her, the other party had disappeared without a trace. After Chen Xiang and Shui Bingyan saved Yue, Wu Tsang, the second in command of the Star Moon Divine Race, started to attack crazily in the Star Graveyard. He didn't know who saved Yue, but before he could even see her, the other party had disappeared without a trace. Yue had disappeared, and furthermore, they already knew about the matters of the samsara sacrifice. Furthermore, there were still powerful friends helping her, which made the higher-ups of the Star Moon Divine Race extremely worried, because if they didn't find Yue before the arrival of the samsara sacrifice, they might be facing Yue's revenge in the future. Wu Tsang, you have always been extremely cautious, but at this critical moment you made a mistake. Now, the little thing's whereabouts was unknown, and the only cage that you could grab was also taken. An old man stomped his feet in anger. Although he was not as strong as Wu Tsang, he could not help but scold Wu Tsang when he was angry. Wu Tsang's expression was extremely ugly as he said in a cold voice, "You can't blame me for this. For all these years, you have often miscalculated the matters of the samsara sacrifice, and I was the one who saved them at every critical moment. This time, it's also your responsibility, and also the time of the samsara sacrifice. Samsara sacrifice's time is unstable. How could it be so easy to calculate? Back then, it was also because of the frequent miscalculations of the Star Moon Divine Lord and the others that they refined that cage in order to catch the little thing more easily. Now that the cage is gone, even if we find the little thing, it would still be difficult to catch it." The old man retorted, "Calculating the time in the samsara sacrifice is originally uncontrollable, but you grabbed onto the little thing so easily. You made a mistake on this matter, it's your responsibility. If something were to happen, they would not think of a way to solve it. Instead, they would criticize one another and evade responsibility. Compared to them, they were all worried that they would be blamed by that clan chief. Don't tell this to the patriarch for now. If he knows that Lil Thing and the cage have been lost, we'll all be in trouble." Wu Tsang also knew that now was not the time to argue, so they had to hurry up and think of a way to get Yue back. The old man said, "What can you do? We don't have any leads right now. There are too many GODs that are using the power of the ice. Where are we going?" Wu Tsang said, "To the Supreme Divine Palace." Lil Thing went to the Supreme Divine Palace earlier, investigate who she has been in contact with, and then start from there. Go with the rest of you. Supreme Divine Palace's Mu Chen is famous for protecting Lil Thing. At that time, even if you find out who is related to Lil Thing, I think he will protect you. For the sake of protecting a little imp, he would definitely form a huge grudge with the Prince Divine Lions. As one of the GOD clans, they definitely knew about it. For them right now, the Supreme Divine Palace was the only clue they had. Even if it was Mu Chen who offended the Supreme Divine Palace, they would have to do it. After all, if they were to face the strong experts of the Supreme Divine Palace alone, they would feel unconfident. Wu Tsang did not go, but rather stayed in the Star Graveyard. Every time the samsara sacrifice was about to start over the years, Yue would always come to this place. He had this doubt a long time ago, but he could catch Yue in the past and search her memories for information. However, this time, Yue ran away, so he decided to carefully explore this Star Graveyard to see what secrets were hidden here. Chen Xiang rested inside the Supreme Divine Palace for a day, then left to head towards the Star Graveyard. Originally, Shui Bingyan wanted to go with him, but he was still somewhat worried, so he let Shui Bingyan accompany Yue. After all, Shui Bingyan was very strong, and she said that she could fight with the Hall Master herself. Before he left, Chen Xiang had also learned something about that place from Yue. Yue had told him that that place was called the Star Graveyard, and was extremely famous in the Star Moon Divine Race. It was just that according to the legends, There were many stars that had appeared in that place for unknown reasons, and had existed there for many years. But Yue had said that there was something there that was calling her, which was why she had asked Chen Xiang to look for it. It took Chen Xiang 5 days to reach the star graveyard. He didn't need to flee, he also slowed down when he came, and started to conceal himself when he was near the star graveyard. He could sense the remnant of an aura in the surroundings from afar, which was the result of Wu Tsang's reckless attacks when he was angry. This old fellow should still be here. Chen Xiang was extremely cautious. He released his probability divine soul and flew into the air, then looked down at the ground. Soon after, he discovered that Wu Tsang was sitting on top of a large black boulder. Yue also didn't know where the thing that was calling her was, so Chen Xiang needed to search for it bit by bit. It was extremely difficult, not to mention that Wu Tsang was still at that place. Chen Xiang did not enter the star graveyard. He was worried that he would be discovered by Wu Tsang. 2 days had passed, and Wu Tsang still hadn't left. He had already exchanged for a few large rocks, and he had even broken quite a few of them. What is he doing? Is he looking for something? Chen Xiang was shocked. He did not wish for Wu Tsang to find the thing that called Yue. Chen Xiang couldn't care so much now. He quietly entered the star graveyard. He didn't know how to look for it, he could only use his own mystical technique. The Chaos Divine Eye and the Source Spirit Eyes allowed him to see things that were difficult to see with his naked eyes. He had just used the Chaos Divine Eye, but he did not discover anything, and after using the Chaos Divine Eye to search for more than 2 hours, he did not find anything, and then used the Source Spirit Eyes. I wonder if the Chaos Divine Eye and the Source Spirit Eyes can be merged together. Chen Xiang's heart stirred. He immediately used the philosophic stone and began to comprehend the 2 methods. He wanted to find a fusion point from within. Let's leave this place first. We don't want any disturbance when we merge together. Chen Xiang immediately left the star graveyard. Before he left, he also paid attention to Wu Tsang. This Wu Tsang was still looking for something, but he did not discover anything. After leaving the star graveyard, Chen Xiang once again calmed down and tried to comprehend the 2 cultivation techniques used to cultivate the eyes. The 2 techniques had something in common, but the usage of the 2 techniques were different. Although Chen Xiang was far away from the star graveyard, he could still hear waves of muf-fled booms that were accompanied by the shaking of the earth. It was clear that Wu Tsang was SMAs.H.I. plussing apart the black boulders, wanting to see what was hidden inside. Although Chen Xiang was far away from the star graveyard, he could still hear waves of muf-fled booms that were accompanied by the shaking of the earth. It was clear that Wu Tsang was SMAs.H.I. plussing apart the black boulders, wanting to see what was hidden inside. Wu Tsang also lost his patience. Previously, he was still probing with the stones, but after more than 10 days, he did not discover anything, so he was now floating in the air. He used his powerful strength to destroy a large area, shattering the pieces of the stars. Chen Xiang was very worried that Wu Tsang would discover something, and right now, he had already made progress on the 2 methods of fusing the Chaos Divine Eye and the Source Spirit Eyes. He was immersed in the cultivation method combination practice, and 2 days had passed, before he knew it. At this time, the sky had just brightened. He opened his eyes and faintly smiled. He should have succeeded. When he was in the forest, he immediately used this newly merged technique to look around him. When he saw the trees, he could clearly see the energy circulating and the water circulating inside the trees. I didn't consume too much energy, and now I have directly consumed my 6 realms power. Moreover, I have also fused the effects of the Chaos Divine Eye and the Source Spirit Eyes. Other than that, I can see much more clearly than before. Chen Xiang closed his eyes and stopped the technique. Let's call it Dao Heart Eye. Because when he was looking, not only did he use his eyes to look, he also used his heart to look. Chen Xiang familiarized himself for a moment, and then activated Dao Heart Eye once again. This time, he was not only startled, because when he used his full strength, he could actually see all sorts of different colored things around him. Some were ribbon spinning, some were spiraling, some were globes, some were pulsing like flames, some were flowing like a river, flowing in all directions, and some were like a suspended spider web that covered the entire land. After activating the Dao Heart Eye with all of his strength, the entire world had fallen into this multicolored world. He only felt that when he went to another world, he would be surrounded by all kinds of strange shapes and colors, with floating objects in all four directions. This should be the divine energy of the fire attribute. Qin Xiang looked at the small, flickering CLU's terrs of flame floating back and forth. It was pitifully few in number here, especially when compared to the large amount of blue mist. Chen Xiang used his fingertip to absorb a bit of it, and he could feel that it was water attributed. No wonder Shui Bingyan was so powerful. In this world, water attributed energy was the strongest. There were originally only a few types of elemental energy in the world, but over the years, they had undergone various collisions and fuses, resulting in the birth of all sorts of elemental energy. If I were to compare them, perhaps they would be able to give birth to a Tao spirit. Chen Xiang saw an extremely glaring flame in the distance. It was a ball of fire-type divine spirit qi that had gathered together and was gradually fusing together, preparing to merge into one. He kept his Dao Heart Eye and then closed his eyes to take a few deep breaths. To be able to see so much energy of this world and this existence made him extremely excited. We can leave for that place now. That old fellow probably hasn't found it yet. Chen Xiang could still hear the rumbling sounds. He had not found the thing that was hidden inside the star graveyard. Chen Xiang quietly snuck over and arrived at the star graveyard. Originally, there were many gigantic shattered rocks here, but they had all become small now and had already been flattened by more than half of Wu Tsang's effort over the past few days. When Chen Xiang arrived, he immediately used the Dao Heart Eye. He split the Dao Heart Eye into 3 layers, and the first layer allowed him to directly see through the things that were moving inside, such as the paths of energy flow inside the plants, while the second layer allowed him to see the spirit blood and the like. This was only used when refining pills. And the third level was where one could see the natural power of the great Tao in the world, just like before. Now that he was using his second layer of strength, he could see things that could be seen on the second layer. Moreover, he needed to see things even more thoroughly than his source spirit eyes, and he felt that it was enough to find the things that were hidden here. When he used the second stage of the Dao Heart Eye's power, he could see that there were many white and light yellow floating clouds. These faint clouds of air were originally made from the power of the stars, and were originally hidden inside the black boulders. He could clearly see the various large and small black rocks on the ground. The stones seemed to have blood vessels and meridians, and a faint white or yellow energy flowed within them. The veins in the rocks would intertwine so they could circulate within the rock. What Chen Xiang found strange was that although these stones had already been broken, there was still a large amount of star power that had yet to flow out from within the stones and continued to circulate. It was not easy to find things inside stones of all sizes. Furthermore, he had to avoid being discovered by Wu Tsang. This star graveyard was also very large. Wu Tsang was currently destroying them on the other side, while Chen Xiang was searching this area. Even though he did not find them, he had discovered some strange phenomena. For example, the star power inside the stone would not flow out of the stone unless the stone was completely broken down. For example, the star power inside the stone would not flow out of the stone unless the stone was completely broken down. After careful observation, Chen Xiang found another shocking phenomenon. It was that a large amount of star power that was scattered all over the place was revolving at an extremely slow speed, just like the Milky Way. If he did not use the Dao Heart Eye to observe carefully, It would be difficult to discover it just by relying on his senses. This should be a circular whirlpool. If that's the case, then the center of the whirlpool must be hiding something, which is why it can cause so many stars to revolve. Chen Xiang was suddenly secretly happy in his heart. If it was really like this, then it was very likely that the thing was not hiding inside the rock. Instead, it was underground, and it was even more likely that it was underground. It was because the object could produce a weak force to drive the star power to rotate, but the speed of the rotation was extremely slow. It was obvious that the power of the object was obstructed. After Chen Xiang observed the rotation of the whirlpool, he found a direction and walked towards the center. As long as he got near, he might be able to see the center of the whirlpool. It's clear that he is absorbing the star power, but the rate at which he is absorbing it is very slow. Wu Tsang is the second in command of the star-moon divine race, so he should be the one cultivating the star power as well, but he did not realize that the power he had obtained was all from the samsara sacrifice. This has caused him to gradually lose his most acute perception of the star power. Chen Xiang guessed that when he got closer, he could already see the center. Chen Xiang made some important discoveries, but he did not let his guard down, and continued to be cautious of that Wu Tsang. Just as he neared the center of the vortex, he sensed that something had entered his spatial perception. Other than Wu Tsang, there was no one else here. Chen Xiang made some important discoveries, but he did not let his guard down, and continued to be cautious of that Wu Tsang. Just as he neared the center of the vortex, he sensed that something had entered his spatial perception. Other than Wu Tsang, there was no one else here. When Wu Tsang came over, he immediately turned into a black stone. Who is here? Although you have hidden yourself well, I have already discovered you. Wu Tsang arrived here very quickly, but he did not discover anything. He was sure that he wasn't mistaken. Just now, he had sensed traces of aura fluctuations. Being so cautious was within Chen Xiang's expectations, so he was not surprised. He was already lying quietly on the ground like a rock, and Wu Tsang did not notice him. Right now, Chen Xiang was close to the center of the vortex of star power. Even though Wu Tsang had arrived here, he did not discover the vortex. Could it be that my senses were wrong? Wu Tsang muttered as he looked around him. The surroundings were completely flat and there was no way to hide, and there was even a trace of other people's aura, which he could clearly feel. Wu Tsang flew to another place to investigate, then became a smaller stone, controlling himself to float slowly towards the vortex. Not long after, Chen Xiang arrived at the center of the whirlpool. Upon arriving here, as long as one gave it a careful sensing, one would realize that a weak portion of the star power was being slowly absorbed by something below. Just as Chen Xiang was about to leave, Wu Tsang flew back. No wonder I sensed movement here just now. So the star power here is being gathered by something. It's just that because it's too weak, I didn't notice it before. Wu Tsang descended to the ground and looked at the center of the vortex with furrowed brows. In truth, there was nothing here. It was just that when Chen Xiang used the Dao Heart Eye, he could see the movement of the star power here, while Wu Tsang could feel it through his senses. Chen Xiang scolded himself in his heart. Right now, Wu Tsang was right beside him, and Wu Tsang did not know that there was a rock that had turned into a person right next to his feet. The center of Wu Tsang's palm faced that whirlpool, and condensed into a ball of white light. After a boom sound, the ground trembled, rocks and dirt flew everywhere, and the place turned into a huge pit. Chen Xiang anxiously teleported high up in the sky. Looking down from the sky, he could see that there was a triangular slab of stone within the pit. There were spirit grains on it, and it was emitting a weak light. After the stone tablet was exposed, large amounts of star power crazily flowed into it, causing the spirit grain on the triangular stone tablet to emit even more intense rays of light. The stellar Hell! Wu Tsang shouted in alarm, and his face was full of fear. Chen Xiang also felt that something was wrong. Seeing Wu Tsang fleeing so quickly, he immediately teleported as well. With how powerful Wu Tsang was, to even fear this thing, it could be seen that this stone was extremely dangerous. As the two of them were fleeing, they suddenly felt a suction force on them. It was also at this time that Chen Xiang, who had somehow turned into stone, turned back into his human form. "Who are you?" Wu Tsang saw Chen Xiang, because both he and Chen Xiang were being pulled towards the triangular flagstone. Chen Xiang did not reply, but did his best to activate the Six Realms power, to help himself break free from the suction force, because if he continued absorbing, he would be swallowed by the stone. "Was that little thing saved by you? What a clever concealment technique. I was by my side the whole time, but I didn't notice it. Don't struggle anymore, we'll definitely be sucked in." Wu Tsang's face became sinister. "Although I'm being sucked in, I'm not dead. At most, I'll just be trapped inside, but before I go in, I'm going to kill you." Wu Tsang raised his hand and released a powerful white light towards Chen Xiang. When Chen Xiang flew over, he felt a scorching qi and became terrified. However, this force was absorbed by the triangular flagstone in the middle of the process. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief. He did not have the slightest understanding towards that stone tablet. All he knew was that Wu Tsang had called it star H-E-L-L. The triangle slate absorbed the force that Wu Tsang used to hit it, causing an even stronger suction force, allowing Chen Xiang and Wu Tsang to be pulled towards it quickly. Approaching the stone tablet, Chen Xiang's vision went black, and then appeared in a world with a dusky sky. After swallowing Chen Xiang and Wu Tsang, the triangle slate sucked all the broken rocks and soil over and buried himself deep underground again, as if he had a mind of his own. "Old B-A-S-T. A-R-D, if you hadn't violently blasted that thing out, we wouldn't have come to this D-A-M Ned place." After Chen Xiang arrived at this place, he realized that his Six Realms power could not leave his body at all. As long as it left his body, it would immediately be absorbed. Wu Tsang was also like this, as he was from the Star-Moon divine race, and naturally trained in the power of the stars and moon, which was very strong as well, and he was still 2G. Delay with about 20 divine deity. The power of the stars and moon in the divine sense C was very vast, but no matter how hard he tried, the moment the power of the star and moon left his body, it would immediately lose control and sink into the ground beneath his feet. If a large amount of the power of the stars and moon appeared in the divine sense C, it would all be drawn out of his body. "Human brat, what sort of origin do you have? After saving this little thing, you actually came back to search for the things hidden here. What secret did this little thing tell you?" Wu Tsang was also very angry at this moment. He was several tens of meters away from Chen Xiang, and when he asked, he had already rushed towards Chen Xiang with quick step. Wu Tsang could not use his valiant power of the moon and stars, but he was extremely confident in the strength of his own body. His current speed was also very fast, and like a gust of wind, he flew over, and his hand that was like a sharp and powerful eagle claw fiercely grabbed towards Chen Xiang's throat with lightning speed. Old B-A-S-T-A-R-D let out a cold laugh. His fist was as fast as lightning. The supreme G-O-D bone allowed his body to wield a strong and dense power. His reaction was also extremely fast. He dodged in a flash and smashed his fist onto Wu Tsang's face. Bang! Chen Xiang's fist was extremely ruthless as it smashed from the side into Wu Tsang's skinny old face, causing a loud sound to ring out. Wu Tsang's teeth were also knocked out a few times, and he was sent flying while spitting out blood. Wu Tsang never thought that the human Chen Xiang would have such a strong and robust body. With such power, he rarely fought with humans and usually, he would only fight with beasts, so in his eyes, humans were usually many times weaker than beasts. But now Wu Tsang's attack that was launched at such a fast speed was actually avoided by Chen Xiang. At the same time that Chen Xiang dodged, he gave him a heavy punch. You are not human. Although Wu Song punched Wu Song, he could still quickly crawl back up and cover his face as he shouted towards Chen Xiang. Then, he spat out the blood and broken teeth in his mouth. You are not human. Although Wu Song punched Wu Song, he could still quickly crawl back up and cover his face as he shouted towards Chen Xiang. Then, he spat out the blood and broken teeth in his mouth. You're not human, don't think of humans as weak. Chen Xiang snorted. Wu Song was an elder of the star-moon divine race, a strong star and crescent beast. Wu Song found it hard to believe and rushed over once again. Impossible, a human's body is not that strong. What kind of beast are you? Previously, Wu Song had been careless and got hit by Chen Xiang because of that. Now, he knew that Chen Xiang also had a decent amount of strength, so he was on guard. Being unable to use 6 realms power, Chen Xiang's power had been restricted greatly, but he felt that it was still possible to deal with this Wu Song. Back when he was at 9 Heaven World, he had already learnt a few offensive techniques that specialized in using the power of the fleshly body. This time, Wu Song's attack was changed to a palm strike. He did not have any sort of palm technique, but his palm strike speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had already landed on Chen Xiang's body. This time, Wu Song struck Chen Xiang. His palm was extremely strong. Just as he was about to punch out, Chen Xiang suddenly grabbed his wrist. You! Wu Song was startled, because this was not what he expected. Originally, he thought that if he struck Chen Xiang with his palm, Chen Xiang would be injured to a certain degree, and that he would be able to defeat him in one go. When Chen Xiang grabbed Wu Song, he sneered and then directly slapped Wu Song with his palm. Pa! With a crisp sound, Chen Xiang gave Wu Song a very vicious slap on his face. His old face was swollen just a moment ago, and now he had even slapped it ruthlessly. Old B-A-S-T-A-R-D, this is for you. When Chen Xiang thought about you, he became extremely furious. He kicked at Wu Song's abdomen, causing him to scream in pain. Tell me honestly, where did Yue come from and why did Divine Lord Xingyue use such a method to deal with her? Chen Xiang's finger was like a sword, instantly tapping dozens of times on Wu Song's body, causing the bones of his veins to be broken. Although Chen Xiang asked, he did not give Wu Song the chance to reply, as he frantically slapped Wu Song's face, to the point where Wu Song was stunned. Roar! Suddenly, a white light flashed on Wu Song's body, and turned into a golden tiger, roaring madly at Chen Xiang. So his original form was a tiger. Chen Xiang was not afraid in the slightest as he jumped over. Both of his feet kicked frantically, and the shadows of his feet were like a torrential storm. When Wu Song transformed into a tiger, his body became even bigger and clumsy. Furthermore, after being beaten up by Chen Xiang, his reaction became even slower, and he was unable to dodge at all. In just an instant, the tiger head was kicked by Chen Xiang over 100 times, until he fell to the ground. Wu Song then transformed back into his human form, wailing as he laid on the ground and said angrily, "Human brat, you will definitely die a horrible death. Don't think that you can find yourself by staying away from this samsara sacrifice. I'll tell you this, if you doesn't sacrifice herself like last time, when the Star-Moon Ancestor Emperor revives, let's see how you handle this." Who is the Star-Moon Ancestor Emperor? Speak clearly. Chen Xiang grabbed his hair and stared at him. He is the father of the Divine Lord. He is much stronger than the All-Beast Divine Lord. He has been cultivating in deep sleep, and every once in a while, we have to conduct a session of the samsara sacrifice to allow him to absorb a large amount of the star and moon's energy. At that time, we would only be able to absorb a little. Wu Song laughed sinisterly. If Ancestor Emperor does not have the power, he will definitely wake up. Even if All-Beast Divine Lord revives, it won't be able to stop him. Chen Xiang's expression became heavy. He believed what Wu Song had said, because he remembered something big that Huang Jintian calculated using the heaven extended method, something that would change the flow of the world because of him. It was because he left Yuer that the samsara sacrifice could not continue. This would wake up the so-called Star Moon Ancestor Emperor, and at that time, the world's situation would definitely change greatly. You must be from Supreme Divine Palace. You don't want the entire Supreme Divine Palace to be destroyed, so you better hurry up and think of a way to have Yuer obediently return. Wishful thinking. Qin Xiang slapped him. What's wrong with this Star Moon Hell? I want to get out of here as soon as possible. Wu Tsang was scared of Qin Xiang's beating. He himself was scared of death and was also afraid of pain, so he could only cooperate with Qin Xiang obediently. This is a special technique that our Star Moon divine race used to imprison moon and star creatures. If it violates the laws, the moon and stars would land and use this kind of stone to imprison these moon and star creatures. And we accidentally saw it, so we were sucked in. Wu Tsang said. Qin Xiang felt that this was extremely unbelievable. Who made this rock? It couldn't have been born naturally, could it? Wu Tsang said. This was made by the Star Law Divine Realm. I presume that it was used to imprison us back then, but for other reasons, it did not succeed. Yuer should have come over at that time. She should be the law enforcer, but she was caught by the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor and used by the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor. That's why the samsara sacrifice appeared. Star Law Divine Realm. These divine nations were already very powerful in Qin Xiang's eyes, but now this Star Law Divine Realm looked even more terrifying. Don't even think about it, we can't get out. Wu Tsang sneered. We will only die here. This way we can avoid the anger of Ancestor Emperor after he wakes up. Qin Xiang shook Wu Tsang to the side, then grabbed a handful of soil. He realized that the soil here was a little different, as it actually contained a very dense amount of star power, just that it could not be absorbed. Old Bastard, I remember the last time you captured Yuer, didn't you say that there were still 10 days until samsara sacrifice? It should have already been 10 days since then. Qin Xiang said. That's when our samsara sacrifice begins. Just by being prepared, we have to use over 10 days to set up the array, and we also have to let a large portion of the power of the stars and moon rush into the Ancestor Emperor's underground palace. So right now there should be another 7 days until the power of the stars and moon descends. It's already too late. The Ancestor Emperor will definitely wake up. No one can stop us. Wu Tsang laughed. You can't be that absolute. The Ancestor Emperor you all speak of is just a fugitive from death who violated the laws of the stars and moon. The sudden voice that came from the sky startled Qin Xiang and Wu Tsang. There was someone else in this empty prison. From the way he spoke, the person who spoke should have a very good understanding of the Ancestor Emperor. Qin Xiang rejoiced in his heart. This way, he would have a higher chance of getting out. From the way he spoke, the person who spoke should have a very good understanding of the Ancestor Emperor. Qin Xiang rejoiced in his heart. This way, he would have a higher chance of getting out. Who is it? Wu Tsang shouted. Who the hell are you? Weren't you supposed to use this Star Moon hell to seal the Ancestor Emperor? Qin Xiang had already heard the sound of footsteps. He immediately turned his head to the side. There was a faint white mist, and someone was quickly running over from that direction. Very quickly. Qin Xiang was shocked. In a few seconds the man rushed over from that faraway location. You have to know that this place can only use the power of the flesh, and that speed was already close to teleportation. This was a middle-aged man with long, messy hair. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, a full beard, and he was extremely tall. He wore gray clothes, and had a stone sword at his waist. It was made very rough. You? Who are you? Wu Tsang was frightened. The power of his flesh body was enough to tyrannize over him, and the middle-aged man looked even more terrifying. I am the first guest here. I am very happy that you all have come here. I very much welcome you all. The middle-aged man laughed out loud. Chen Xiang cursed inwardly. He was not happy to be here. Just who are you? Wu Tsang asked. This star moon Hel, I was prepared for me. After I was locked in here, I was sealed in a very large star, and then I seemed to have landed in some other place, but I don't have anything to do here, and as for the you mentioned, he should be my little buddy from Star Law Divine Realm. It's a pity that he didn't come in, but there are 2 more inside. The middle-aged man patted on Chen Xiang's shoulder, making Chen Xiang feel pain. Chen Xiang asked, Senior, then do you know Yuer? She is a cute little white cat. So it turned out that this star moon Hel, I could hold many prisoners. The reason why this star moon Hel came here was probably to bring in the ancestor emperor. However, there was an accident and so it did not succeed. Yuer. The middle-aged man stroked his chin. I've never heard of this name, but I do know about the cute little white cat. This little white cat is very famous for sending people into star moon Hell. I already knew that she was going to bring in a big guy. Wu Tsang sneered. She is dealing with our ancestor emperor. It is normal for her to fail because our ancestor emperor is so powerful. Chen Xiang had guessed it many times, but he didn't think it would be like this. She has failed, but it is definitely not because of your ancestor emperor. Your ancestor emperor's strength alone is not enough to make her fail, and there are other reasons that I am not too clear about. The middle-aged man said, Your ancestor emperor is an ox. Although he is not very famous, I have heard of him before. Wu Tsang did not reply. He was afraid of angering the middle-aged man and getting beaten up again. Right now, he was the weakest among them. Maybe when Chen Xiang was bored, he would still beat him up. Wu Tsang thought to himself that he would have to stay here for a long time and would get beaten up any time, causing his face to turn green. Senior, why were you brought in? Chen Xiang asked curiously. You don't look like an evil person either. It was just an accident that I accidentally killed an important figure inside the Star Law Divine Realm and was brought inside. At most, I could have just gone into exile, but I thought about it and decided to obediently accept the judgment of the Star Law Divine Realm. The middle-aged man laughed and said, I'm not bad indeed. It's just that sometimes I'm impulsive and often cause trouble. Chen Xiang also laughed. I also cause trouble quite a bit. I have been here for quite some time now, little brother Chen Xiang. I wonder what big brother's name is? Yang Tianyi, you brat. Although you don't seem strong, you are actually so terrifying when it comes to beating people up. Yang Tianyi could obviously tell that Wu Tsang's cultivation was higher than Chen Xiang's, but his body was not as strong as Chen Xiang's. He was weaker than Chen Xiang by a lot, to the point that he was oppressed by Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang chuckled before asking, Big brother Yang, do you have any way of getting out of here? I can't stay here forever. Yang Tianyi sighed. There's no way out, my strength is also very strong. If the ancestor emperor the old man spoke of came, I might be able to kill him immediately, but I have no way of leaving this place. I don't believe you, Wu Tsang said softly. He was extremely confident in his star-moon divine race and did not believe that he would be defeated instantly by this sloppy-looking burly man. Yang Tianyi only smiled slightly and said to Chen Xiang, Don't worry, even though you can't get out, if the enforcer knows that the people here shouldn't be locked up, then you can get out. This star moon Hel should be managed by that little white cat, only she can let you out. Really? But I can't get in touch with her right now. Chen Xiang originally thought that there was some hope, but after thinking about Yuer's current situation, she couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Although her memories have been erased, every once in a while Xingyue will give her the power to be reborn, and at that time she will also get new memories. As long as she recovers her memories and knows that there is a star-moon underworld here, then it will be fine. Yang Tianyi laughed. That's why you don't have to worry about how terrifying that ancestor emperor is. Wu Tsang grunted softly, because he understood that Yang Tianyi was right. No matter how strong their ancestor emperor was, they would be dragged in no matter what. When Yue recovered her memories, she would first find this Xing L and then use it to deal with their ancestor emperor. Seeing Chen Xiang's face relax, Yang Tianyi continued, although you don't have to worry about that ancestor emperor, you still have to pay attention to who defeated that little white cat and let that whatever ancestor emperor take advantage of you. This was probably something only Yue knew. What Chen Xiang could do now was to patiently wait here. Yang Tianyi suddenly grabbed Chen Xiang's arm and pinched it hard, causing Chen Xiang to scream out in pain. Brother Yang, what are you doing? Chen Xiang shouted in pain. You don't have bones, I thought you did. Sorry. Yang Tianyi laughed awkwardly. However, your body is still very scary. You can possess such a degree of power without bones. It seems that you have definitely gone through a lot of tough training over these years. Big brother Yang, don't tell me you have bones. Chen Xiang asked curiously. He was a little excited, because this was the first time he had met someone who possessed bones. Of course there is. If I didn't have bones, I would have died a long time ago. Yang Tianyi laughed. Do you want to cultivate or not? I can help you. Of course, Chen Xiang wanted to cultivate bones, but the conditions to cultivate bones were extremely harsh, just like Wu Tsang. He definitely did not have any bones right now, otherwise, he would not have been beaten so badly by Chen Xiang. Of course, Chen Xiang wanted to cultivate bones, but the conditions to cultivate bones were extremely harsh, just like Wu Tsang. He definitely did not have any bones right now, otherwise, he would not have been beaten so badly by Chen Xiang. Is it easy to cultivate it? Chen Xiang wanted to understand first. If it took too long, he did not plan to cultivate here, because there were still some important things he needed to do after he left. Cultivating bones is the hardest. Some people would rather give up on raising their cultivation and cultivate their bones as well. Yang Tianyi said. Wu Tsang mocked from the side. This brat, is he even strong enough to cultivate bones? Judging by his appearance, he should only have 2 divine deities in his hands, which is too far away. Cultivating bones has nothing to do with divine deity, it's mainly about the foundation of the body. Although your divine deity is more than his, you are far inferior to him in terms of body, so he has the conditions to cultivate bones now. Of course, this does not mean that he will definitely be able to cultivate it. Yang Tianyi said to Wu Tsang very seriously. Wu Tsang stopped talking. The strength of Chen Xiang's body had indeed made him feel afraid, and if Chen Xiang cultivated his bones again, it would definitely be terrifying in the future. Yang Tianyi took out a pile of flowers and plants, which he placed in a broken basket, and said, If there's fire, then it's best that I refined it. Chen Xiang carefully looked at the things in the basket and said in shock, These herbs are the bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients. Yang Tianyi replied with an "Oh. You know the bone-level Dan too, and you can even recognize that this is the bone-level Dan's medicinal herb. You have seen the bone-level Dan before." Chen Xiang laughed. "I am just a pill god and am already able to refine Zhongping Dan. I have bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients, but I have not been able to gather them, because they are too rare." Chen Xiang asked Feng Yujie to be in charge of the purchase. It had already been many days since then, but there was no news of him. He never thought that he would see all of the bone-level Dan's ingredients here. This is a low-quality divine medicine. If it is a middle-quality medicine, then the effects will be better, and eating it directly would also be fine. Of course, if it can be refined into a divine pill, then it would be easier for you to cultivate bones. Yang Tianyi said, "Even though you are a pill god, there is no way to release fire here, and you cannot refine pills." Chen Xiang tried to release the Chuangzhou fire, but just as the flames appeared, the fire energy was suddenly dispersed and was completely absorbed by the strange energy in the place. "I really can't." Chun Xiang sat on the ground and grabbed a handful of soil and said, "All of this soil contains a very dense amount of star power." Yang Tianyi said, "This dirt is formed from the power of the stars, but you can't absorb it, nor can you use it. This mud has been formed from the power of the stars, but you can't absorb it, nor can you use it." The only thing he could use was his feeble divine intent, which could still be used to retrieve items from the spatial storage. Chun Xiang looked at the sand in his hands and said, "As long as my energy does not leave my body, I can still use it." Yang Tianyi said, "That's good, but what's the use of not leaving your body?" Chun Xiang laughed. "I can concoct pills in the divine sense sea. Although I have never concocted pills before, I feel that I can give it a try. As long as one had the cultivation of a god, they would be able to change their divine sense C into their own storage SPAC. The divine sense C refining pills is indeed a good breakthrough, but it requires a very large and stable divine sense C. Can you?" Yang Tianyi's eyes also lit up. He had never thought of this method before. The divine sense C looked very big when he looked at it from the inside. That was because his divine soul and divine deity were very small to begin with, and would compress even smaller after entering the divine sense C. Normally, he would only put in a few very small storage magic treasure S and such, but he would need to put in a pill furnace, and that was also very unstable. It had to be known that the divine sense C was very weak, especially in the inside. If the pill furnace exploded inside the divine sense C, it would seriously injure the divine sense C. No problem. Chun Xiang was not going to use that kind of cauldron to refine pills. He could directly use magic method furnaces. "Big Brother Yang, how many of these medicinal ingredients do you have?" "Bone Level Dan's medicinal ingredients are extremely rare. Where did you get them from?" Chun Xiang looked at the flowers and plants in the basket. The quality was not bad, but because he had stored them for a long time and did not pay too much attention to them, they looked a little lifeless. "I still have a dozen or so. Back then, I bought a lot to eat, and after eating the Bone Level Dan, I have kept them until now. If you want, you can take them all," Yang Tianyi said as he took out another big pile. Bone Level Dan S had a total of 3 types of medicinal ingredients, which were considered rare among the divine pellets. Chun Xiang picked up a long blade of green GRASS, which was shaped like a flat band. On the surface, it was covered with very thin hair, and at the top of the tip of the hair there was a very fine granule, which emitted a very weak glow. This was called Heavenly Muscle GRASS. After the first stage of maturation, it would be around 9 feet long, and it would become a low-grade divine medicine. The Bone Level Dan's medicinal ingredients could continuously evolve, so the Bone Level Dan had an upper rank as well. The second type was a pure black-colored flower called the Blood Bone Divine Flower, where the stamens were like bones. Upon closer inspection, one could see that each stamen had something that looked like blood, and the petals also had vein-like patterns. If the petals were to be destroyed, a blood-like red liquid would seep out. The last kind was also a flower, but the flower was special. Its petals were red, while the heart of the flower was light-colored. The special thing was the pattern on the flower's center. The patterns formed by the spirit grain looked like a sad face. It was said that if the flower was full of vitality, the pattern on the heart of the flower was a smiling face. So the flower was also known as the 7 emotions flower. It had 7 human emotions. Can you succeed? If you can concoct a divine pellet after eating it, your chance of cultivating bones will be greater. If you can just eat it directly, then you can only try your luck. Yang Tianyi said. Eating the Bone Level Dan didn't guarantee that it could cultivate the bones, but it was just that the Bone Level Dan could summon an opportunity, and whether or not it could succeed all depended on him. It was said that the process of condensing the bones was also very difficult, but to have the opportunity to condense the bones was even more difficult. Chun Xiang took out his own spirit liquid and dripped it on top of all of them, improving their quality. When the 7 deity flower turned into a smiling face, it meant that their current quality was the best. Big Brother Yang, is there a lot of this type of medicinal material in your place? Chen Xiang had heard Yang Tianyi's tone just now, as if he was eating the bone-level Dan's medicine ingredients as food. Yang Tianyi came from that mysterious star law divine realm, which seemed to be stronger than 9 Gods nation. Yang Tianyi came from that mysterious star law divine realm, which seemed to be stronger than 9 Gods nation. More is not a lot, but as long as you have enough Shin Yuan stone, you can still buy them. At that time, I used all of the Shin Yuan stone I bought a lot, but I only bought 3 bones, so the 10 batches of medicinal ingredients I gave you, the chances of you cultivating bones were very slim. Yang Tianyi said. When Wu Tsang found out that Yang Tianyi possessed 3 bones, he couldn't help but be alarmed. He knew what this signified, and adding the 3 bones in the divine sense C, the amount of energy that exploded out was extremely terrifying, but generally speaking, cultivation bones would only be considered when one reached the peak of the supreme God realm. If Yang Tianyi was at the peak of the supreme God realm, cultivating 3 bones out of him was unimaginable. Seeing Wu Tsang being so afraid, Chen Xiang secretly exclaimed in his heart, as he desired more to cultivate bones. Big Brother Yang, I heard that you can at most cultivate up to 9 bones. If you could, how powerful would you be? Chen Xiang asked with a look of yearning. Having bones can only increase the strength of my physical body by a lot, but if the bones is merged with a strong divine soul, then the strength will be even more terrifying. My current bones doesn't have any divine soul, because I have only condensed my bones here, so I can't go out, and I can't find a good divine soul to fuse with. Yang Tianyi said. Other than this, there is another way. It is to integrate the divine soul that you have cultivated into your own bones, and you will also be able to obtain a very strong power. This would allow the herbs to become more familiar with the environment of the divine sense C. It would also make it easier for Chen Xiang to refine them later, as they were shopping Dan after all. This was not difficult at all. Then why don't you just buy them directly? There should be a very strong alchemist in the Star Law Divine Realm, right? Chen Xiang asked. In Star Law Divine Realm, not just anyone can sell divine pellet. There are also powerful forces that can sell divine pellets, and the moment it is found out that it is being sold privately, it would be against the rules of Star Law Divine Realm, and the result would be similar to me. Ling Yun laughed. When Yang Tianyi mentioned this, his face was filled with anger. A single bone-level Dan's price was enough for me to buy over 1,000 sets of medicinal herbs, so I went to many places and bought a large amount of medicinal herbs. Chen Xiang was in disbelief. Yang Tianyi had actually been brought in because of this kind of thing. It's because I'm relatively strong that I wasn't directly killed. Instead, I was imprisoned inside. If they were to think of me one day, they might release me. Yang Tianyi laughed at himself. At least I still have a glimmer of hope to get out of here. Chen Xiang said, Big Brother Yang, I'm going to start concocting pills. Help me keep an eye on this guy. Yang Tianyi knew that he had to be extremely serious when concocting pills, and Chen Xiang was currently still in the divine sense C, so he needed to focus even more. Chen Xiang had condensed a very small magic method furnace inside the divine sense C. He was very familiar with using magic method furnace to refine pills, and this also required a very deep level of control, so he was confident that he could stabilize the pill furnace inside the divine sense C. He already had 3 divine soul, of which the first one was on the small island in the middle of the divine sense C, and the other 2 were hidden by him. Previously, he thought that he would need to use 3 divine soul to control them, but after trying it, he felt that it wasn't that difficult, it only required him some time. When concocting pills, one would use the original source refining and burn the medicinal herbs to a certain degree. Then, they would search for the spirit blood in the divine medicine and fuse them together. Under normal circuit Stances, concocting pills would be a piece of cake for Chen Xiang, but in the divine sense C, it would be extremely difficult for him to use the original source refining. Fortunately, I managed to cultivate the Tao Heart Eye. If I had used my previous source Spirit Eyes, finding the spirit blood would have been extremely difficult. Chen Xiang had to put in a lot of effort to get the Tao Heart Eye to examine his own divine sense C, to carefully observe the various divine medicines among the magic method furnace. In order to ensure stability, Chen Xiang didn't use any fierce flames to burn them, so his progress was slower. Adding his first time refining this bone-level Dan, he didn't have much experience. 10 days had passed, and Chen Xiang suddenly saw the 7 love divine flowers spirit blood, while the other 2 divine medicines spirit blood still had not appeared yet. The spirit blood appeared in the later stages of the training, so the other 2 should be the same. Chen Xiang judged based on the 7 desire divine flower, and as expected, not long after, spirit blood of the other 2 divine medicines appeared as well. And following that, Chen Xiang faced an even more difficult trial, which was to fuse them. Merging and condensing pills are both extremely dangerous. This was because a furnace explosion usually occurred in these 2 stages. If he was outside concocting pills, there was nothing to worry about. At most, he would just be newly arrived. But in the divine sense C, the moment he was exposed, his divine sense C would be severely injured, so there couldn't be any mistakes. The spirit blood of the 3 divine medicines were caught by his consciousness, and then slowly merged together. Because the spirit blood was a fusion, the 3 spirit blood with common characteristics quickly fused together the moment they came in contact with each other. Once the fusion was successful, the medicine aura could successfully fuse the 3 divine medicines. As long as he continued to control the flames well and maintain the firepower in the furnace to assist the medicine aura and the medicinal powder to maintain an extremely active state, the fusion wouldn't be a problem. Unknowingly, Chen Xiang took more than 10 days to refine the pill, and there was still more than half a month until the start of the compet. 1. So time was of the essence. I can only condense 3 pills in divine sense C, sigh. Chen Xiang sighed. If it was outside, he felt that it would not be a problem to condense 5 pills, but now, in order to steady himself, he could only do so. After all the medicine aura had fused into one, that cyclone was split into 3 parts, and then part of the other parts flowed out. This way there wouldn't be too much pressure during the process of condensing the core, allowing it to remain stable. The process of condensing the pill was also very long, it took an entire day. Yang Tianyi was standing beside Chen Xiang the entire time, as he stared closely at Wu Tsang to prevent him from wreaking havoc. It was only when Chen Xiang finally opened his eyes that Yang Tianyi relaxed. Done? Yang Tianyi asked anxiously. Chen Xiang smiled and nodded. Then, he took out 3 milky white pills from the divine sense C. Wu Tsang saw this from afar and was shocked. He was actually able to refine 3 pellets in one furnace. Right, this is the bone-level Dan, you really refined it. Yang Tianyi looked at Chen Xiang with a face full of wars. Hi+P. If it was made outside, Yang Tianyi might not be surprised, but to be able to make it in this kind of place with a huge restriction was not something that anyone could do. Chen Xiang laughed. Brother Yang, you're talking nonsense. I really did refine it, didn't you see it too? Although Chen Xiang could refine 3 bone-level danes, he was still regretful that he could not refine more this time. If not for the limited environment he was in, he would be able to refine even more. Although Chen Xiang could refine 3 bone-level danes, he was still regretful that he could not refine more this time. If not for the limited environment he was in, he would be able to refine even more. Is it enough to eat it? Chen Xiang picked up a bone-level dan. Eat it first and see what reaction you have. If you feel a tearing pain in your body, then you must grab the opportunity to strike the place of pain with all of your physical strength. If you succeed, you should be able to condense bones. Yang Tianyi took a bone-level Dan. He now believed that this was refined by Chen Xiang and the quality was extremely good. Chen Xiang laughed. Brother Yang, if you don't believe me, you can eat one and see what happens to you. Yang Tianyi shook his head and laughed. There's no need to try, I have also eaten a few of these bone-level Dan. Although they have been separated for a long time, I am sure that they are real. That year, I ate so many bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients, it was simply too expensive. If I let you refine them, I don't know how many of them would be made up of bone-level Dan, maybe I would have condensed even more bones. Little brother, you don't know how expensive the bone-level Dan in Star Law Divine Realm are. If you can sell these 3 pills you refined, then you can definitely make a huge profit. Of course, individuals are not allowed to buy or sell pills alone in that place. If they are found out, the people who buy or sell pills will be severely punished. Mentioning this matter, Yang Tianyi's face was full of unwillingness. It was because of this matter that he was brought in. Wu Tsang watched on from the side, his face full of displeasure. He hated Chen Xiang very much. Not only did he destroy the Samsara sacrifice, he even beat Chen Xiang up when he came in. He also pushed the responsibility of him being trapped here to Chen Xiang. Right now, he saw Chen Xiang refining a bone-level Dan and was about to cultivate bones, which made him even more uncomfortable and jealous. Chen Xiang swallowed a pellet of bone-level Dan, closed his eyes and started to refine the bone-level Dan's medicinal power, waiting for the opportunity to condense bones to appear. Half a day had passed. Said and Chen Xiang had already completely refined the bone-level Dan's medicinal strength. He opened his eyes and said while frowning, "What's going on? Even if there was no opportunity, there should be some use to it. This is a shopping Dan, it should have some effect on me." Chen Xiang had thought that even if the bone-level Dan couldn't condense bones, it would at least strengthen his body a little. It's like this. Although bone-level Dan are expensive, but I can't guarantee that I can trigger the opportunity to nurture bones at any time. Back then, I ate a lot of broken GRAS and flowers to have some effect. Yang Tianyi laughed bitterly and patted Chen Xiang's shoulder. There are still 2 pills. If your luck is not bad, I should be able to help you condense your bones. Seeing Yang Tianyi's smile, Chen Xiang felt that even if he was lucky, he wouldn't be able to condense bones. Chen Xiang sighed helplessly as he ate another bone-level Dan and started to refine it. He had refined it for a good half an hour without any results, but now, after the first 2 hours, Chen Xiang felt a slight pain in his entire left arm. He, who initially did not hold much hope, was pleasantly surprised. Yang Tianyi had said before that this was a sign of an opportunity appearing, but this sign was not too obvious. It did not have the tearing pain that Yang Tianyi had described. He continued for another hour. Suddenly, there was a pain in his left arm. It was as if his bones were shattered and his flesh was torn apart. It was so painful that his brows were tightly furrowed and his head was covered in sweat. Hurry up and gather the strength of your physical body at the place of pain. Seeing Chen Xiang's reaction, Yang Tianyi immediately shouted out in surprise. Chen Xiang had already condensed the power in his body, controlling the power to continuously rush into his left arm. He only did as Yang Tianyi said. He did not know what would happen after he gathered all his power into his left arm. I didn't think that you would trigger this opportunity so quickly. You must seize this opportunity and not miss it. Otherwise, it will be even harder to find you in the future. I was also like this before. Yang Tianyi was a little excited. To be able to see a young man condensing bones under his guidance was something that was worth being happy about. Chen Xiang continued to channel all the energy in his body into his left arm. He only felt that the energy disappeared after it entered his left arm, which made him very surprised. His left arm was like a bottomless pit, crazily devouring the energy in his body. He felt that if he did not have the endless energy to enter, the pain would have disappeared. The disappearance of the pain meant that he had failed to condense his bones. In order to succeed, he could only continue to focus his strength on his left arm. This would also cause him to feel more and more pain. This kind of pain is not something that an ordinary person can withstand, but it seems like you think it's nothing. Yang Tianyi recalled that the first time he had triggered this opportunity, it was because he couldn't endure the pain and had to give up. This resulted in him missing out on a very rare opportunity. Although Chen Xiang felt pain, it was not to the point where he couldn't bear it. Compared to the rough training he experienced many years ago, this kind of pain was nothing to him. Wu Tsang gritted his teeth as he saw this, his fists clenched tightly. At the same time, Yang Tianyi was also looking at Chen Xiang with rapt attention, in case something happened to Chen Xiang. Wu Tsang suddenly flew over and threw a punch towards Chen Xiang's back and roared, "Little B-A-S-T-A-R-D, go and die." Although Yang Tianyi did not notice Wu Tsang, when he sensed that something was nearing, he immediately reacted. When Wu Tsang's fist was still 3 inches away from Chen Xiang, his wrist was grabbed by Yang Tianyi. "The one who should die is you," Yang Tianyi shouted coldly. He used all his strength to twist Wu Tsang's arm, and after a spin, his entire arm was crippled. "Scram to the side, I'll deal with you later." Yang Tianyi slapped his palm towards Wu Tsang's chest, sending him flying. Wu Tsang was thrown out like a piece of trash. After falling on the ground, he stopped moving, but he did not die. Yue must have accu mulat a lot of anger over the years. Only by letting her personally punish Wu Tsang would Yue be able to dispel the hatred in her heart. She never thought that Wu Tsang was so anxious to court death, to actually plot against him. Wu Tsang fell to the ground after being hit by Yang Tianyi's palm, half dead. It could be seen that Yang Tianyi's strength was extremely terrifying, and Chen Xiang rejoiced that his relations Hi+P with Yang Tianyi was not bad. "Brother, don't worry, that guy won't be able to get up. All the bones in his body have been shattered," said this, feeling extremely guilty in his heart. He actually did not notice Wu Tsang. If he was extremely vigilant, Wu Tsang only needed to move a bit, and he would be able to quickly cripple Wu Tsang. And just now, he had interfered with Chen Xiang's plans and nearly ruined the big matter. "Ah!" Chen Xiang suddenly roared out. The sleeves on his left arm suddenly burst and became a pile of shredded cloth. The thick and strong arm was extremely red and was swelling up, the muscles and veins protruding. It was sinister and terrifying. "It's going to be a success." Yang Tianyi clenched his fists and said excitedly. Chen Xiang also felt that the bones and muscles of his left arm were completely reborn a moment ago, as they suddenly erupted with extremely terrifying power. The bones of his left arm seemed to have shattered in an instant, but they quickly reformed, at the same time producing a huge transformation in the meridians and blood vessels of his left arm. Chen Xiang also felt that the bones and muscles of his left arm were completely reborn a moment ago, as they suddenly erupted with extremely terrifying power. The bones of his left arm seemed to have shattered in an instant, but they quickly reformed, at the same time producing a huge transformation in the meridians and blood vessels of his left arm. Chen Xiang continuously roared. He only felt that his arm was hot and painful, as though countless red-hot iron needles had pierced into his arm and pierced through his flesh and bones. After a while, Chen Xiang let out a long sigh as he was about to grind his teeth into pieces. His left arm stopped expanding, and gradually recovered its original form. The redness on his skin also faded, returning to its original tanned and healthy skin color. Chen Xiang was in so much pain that he was sweating profusely. He was already drenched in the water. His face was pale white, and now he only felt that he was completely exhausted. After he let out a long breath, he laid on the ground, closed his eyes and fell asleep. After Chen Xiang had slept soundly, Yang Tianyi walked over, grabbed Chen Xiang's arm, and examined the internal bones. How could this be? I can condense a double bone level all at once. Yang Tianyi was completely shocked and shook his head. Impossible, an arm can only have one bones, a body can only have one bones in 9 places, and now he has 2 arms. What was going on? Does he have 1 bones or 2? An unusual thing happened to Chen Xiang once again. Previously, when Chen Xiang was able to refine a bone-level Dan in the divine sense C, Yang Tianyi thought that it was very powerful. If all the other parts of this boy's body were double bone level, wouldn't he have 18 bones in the end? This is too scary. Yang Tianyi took a deep breath, and looked at the soundly sleeping Chen Xiang. He could be considered to be well informed, but this was the first time he had heard of this sort of thing. Chen Xiang slept for a few days before waking up. When he woke up, he felt hungry, so he quickly took out something to eat to replenish his energy. The power brought by the bones is indeed abnormal. Chen Xiang looked at his left arm and shook it tightly. He could release the power that came from his body as he wished without any restriction. If you can use the power of the divine sense C to coordinate with it, and add on the double bone level on your left arm that has been fused with your divine soul, the power would be even more terrifying. You should be a lower God now. There are only 2 divine deities in divine sense C. Yet your double bone level can give you the power of 6 divine deity, or even stronger. Yang Tianyi said, "Brother, at this rate, you will only become stronger and stronger." Double bone level? Chen Xiang was startled. He did not notice that. He only felt that there was something inside the bones in his left arm that could make him stronger. Now, after a careful inspection, he discovered that there was indeed something similar to divine deity in his left arm, only that it seemed to be a little smaller than the divine deity. It was just these 2 bones that allowed his entire left arm to possess a very powerful strength. So bones can actually grow in one place and make this place even more powerful. Before, Chen Xiang only thought that bones would allow his entire body to gain power, but now it seemed that only his left arm was stronger. Yang Tianyi laughed. Don't just think that having bones is useless. If you have the chance, you will know. In the past, the strength of your left arm needed to be matched with the strength of your entire body, but now your left arm doesn't need to be linked with your body to be able to release such a strong power. Even if a major part of your body is injured, as long as you move your mind, power will be generated in your left arm, and you can even drag your body. Chen Xiang sat on the ground and followed Yang Tianyi's instructions to throw out a punch, and as expected, his body flew out with the left fist, causing him to fly out a distance. If it is compatible with the body, then it will be even more terrifying. Of course, after you leave this place, you can still coordinate with the power inside the divine sense C, which is how you can display the power of your bones. Yang Tianyi laughed. Chen Xiang looked at Yang Tianyi's legs and asked, "Big brother Yang, is your bones on your legs?" Yang Tianyi nodded his head. "Each of my legs has 1 bones, then it's my right arm. I only have 3 bones in total." Now, Chen Xiang finally understood why Yang Tianyi ran so fast previously. That kind of speed felt like teleportation. Wu Tsang, who had been knocked out previously, had already woken up and was moaning in pain. "This guy almost killed you. What are you going to do with him?" Yang Tianyi did not kill Wu Tsang because he gave her the chance. As for Chen Xiang, he wanted to give it to Yue, but he felt that there was no need for him to do so now. "Big brother Yang, this guy is also a SPAC beast. I wonder if his divine soul is suitable for me?" Chen Xiang asked. "As long as it's a powerful divine soul. This fellow's innate talent is not good, and is unable to display the divine soul on his body. But your innate talent is not bad, and his divine soul will have quite a good effect on your bones. This fellow is also at the peak of the supreme God realm, and has 18 divine deity. However, it would not be easy for you to extract all of his divine deity and divine soul." Yang Tianyi had already investigated Wu Tsang's divine sense C, and could only find his first divine deity and divine soul from within. Hearing that Chen Xiang wanted to devour his divine soul, Wu Tsang became extremely terrified, and shouted with a groan, "I am a loyal subordinate of the Ancestor Emperor, you cannot kill me! Your little bastard's bones is not worthy of my divine soul at all." Chen Xiang coldly snorted. "Don't worry, your divine soul will not appear inside my bones. I am quite interested in the Ancestor Emperor that you are talking about. His divine soul should be enough to satisfy me." With that, Chen Xiang covered Wu Tsang's head with his palm and used his most skilled technique to remove Wu Tsang's divine deity. 5 divine deity and 5 divine soul, not bad at all. Yang Tianyi saw that there were 5 pearls containing small people in Chen Xiang's hand, and could not help but laugh. "Brother, you should be doing this frequently. If you don't have any experience, you can't be able to take out so many at once." "Brother Yang, do you want it?" Chen Xiang laughed. Taking the divine deity was like taking out a bird's nest in their eyes. Fortunately, Wu Tsang was already dead, otherwise, even if he died, he wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Yang Tianyi waved his hand. "I don't need it now. Are you really not planning to merge this guy's first divine soul into your bones? The first divine soul is the strongest, and there is no way to hide it, so it can usually be grabbed." Chen Xiang laughed. "Didn't I say it earlier? I am rather interested in that Ancestor Emperor's divine soul. If Big Brother Yang is fortunate enough to be able to go out, then you must help this little brother out." Yang Tianyi laughed openly. "I will definitely help you. If I can get out, it will all be thanks to you. However, little brother, when the time comes, you must help me refine a few bone-level danes, and it would be best if they are of the upper rank. Right now, I can only condense the 4th bones if I eat upper-rank bone-level danes." Just by eating the ingredients, Yang Tianyi was able to eat 3 levels of bones. One could imagine how many of those ingredients he had eaten, and it was no wonder that he was targeted by the Star Law Divine Realm. This was because the medicine he bought from the bone-level Dan was too crazy. Just by eating the ingredients, Yang Tianyi was able to eat 3 levels of bones. One could imagine how many of those ingredients he had eaten, and it was no wonder that he was targeted by the Star Law Divine Realm. This was because the medicine he bought from the bone-level Dan was too crazy. Chen Xiang laughed. "That's for sure. If it wasn't for Big Brother Yang, I don't know when I would have found the bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients, and I wouldn't have had the chance to refine it. Oh right, Big Brother Yang, did you manage to cultivate up to 9 bones in the Star Law Divine Realm? There are some experts who are filled with bones, but they are extremely rare, and they rarely show themselves. I have heard of them in the Star Law Divine Realm, but I have never seen them with my own eyes. Normally, a fellow with a full bones would be considered a top-notch existence in the Star Law Divine Realm." Yang Tianyi said. "This means that since Big Brother Yang has 3 bones, he should be very strong in the Star Law Divine Realm," said in shock. 9 bones S were already full, and Yang Tianyi already possessed 3 bones S. It's hard to say. 3 bones S are the pinnacle of a single stage, and I don't have a good divine soul. If I have the chance to leave, I have to return to the Star Law Divine Realm." Yang Tianyi raised his head to look at the dusky sky. He had already stayed here for many years, but now, he had a very good chance of leaving. The power of the moon and stars should have already descended. I wonder how things are going outside. Chen Xiang also looked up in the sky, extremely worried for Yue. The patriarch and the few elders in the star-moon divine race were all very scary, but there was still the mysterious ancestor emperor behind them, and it was said that he was even stronger than them. If they were to alarm this ancestor emperor, Yue's situation would become even more dangerous. Chen Xiang told Yang Tianyi about the stories outside, as well as some of his own experiences. Yang Tianyi had been alone in this place for many years, so it was very interesting for him to be able to hear some news. I've heard that these 9 divine nations are related to the star law divine realm, and their overall strength is also very strong, especially the 9 divine nations. It's said that their strength makes the other star law divine realm's forces afraid, but I think that if they were to fight, the star law divine realm should be able to win. Yang Tianyi said, "You said that the 9 divine nations are in trouble? Could he be from the star law divine realm?" Chen Xiang shook his head. "I'm not sure either. I just heard that a new divine nations has risen up, so these 9 divine nations need to focus their energy on this. They should be trying to work together to suppress this new divine nations. Star Law Divine Realm is in the endless starry sky beyond this SPAC, and it seems like 9GODS Nation is also on some giant stars beyond this SPAC. It's not easy to go to those places either. You need to travel through the dark starry sky. It's filled with danger. Even if I were to return to Star Law Divine Realm now, it would not be that simple." Yang Tianyi thought back to the matters concerning the 9GODS Nation in his mind. Previously, Chen Xiang did not know where the location of the 9GODS Nation was, but now he finally found a clue. Chen Xiang asked, "Brother Yang, if you can leave, do you really want to return to Star Law Divine Realm? You sneaked out of this star moon wouldn't it be dangerous for you to go back?" Yang Tianyi chuckled. "Even though what I did that year was quite shocking, after all, so many years have passed. Most of the people who heard about me back then are probably already dead now, and after so much time has passed, who would still remember me? I have to find the best divine soul inside my bones. That way I can become even stronger. In this kind of place it's hard to find, so I have to go back. Even if there's danger, I have to take the risk. I have already wasted my bones for many years, and have not found any good divine soul for them in all these years. I feel very sorry." Chen Xiang also had the thought of merging Wu Tsang's divine soul with his bones, but after thinking about it for a while, he realized since bones were so important, then he must find a relatively stronger one when merging with divine soul. After a few more days, Chen Xiang sighed. "I still have to partake 1p8 in the pill refining compet. 1. Tian, looks like I won't be able to make it." Yang Tianyi said, "Old brother, your pill refining level is very high. If you were in Star Law Divine Realm, you would have definitely been won over by those big powers. When I was in Star Law Divine Realm, I heard that the most powerful of the pill gods could only refine 4 bone level Dan at the most. And since you were able to refine 3 pills in this environment, if you go out, you will definitely be able to refine even more." Yang Tianyi had a wide range of experience. When Chen Xiang had refined the 3 bone level Dan, he had already seen Chen Xiang's talent. As long as he continued to grow at this pace, he was very sure that Chen Xiang would achieve great things in the Pill Dao in the future. There were only 3 days left until the start of the Heroes Gathering Divine City's Great Assembly. Chen Xiang lied on the soil, looking at the gray clouds in the sky with a helpless expression. Suddenly, he saw a very small dot of light. At the beginning, he thought he saw wrongly, but after hearing Yang Tianyi, who was at the side, shout, he started to look carefully. "Something is coming in." Yang Tianyi stood up quickly and started to be alert. Although he did not know what it was, but in an unknown situation, Yang Tianyi would still treat it as a dangerous object. Chen Xiang also suddenly jumped up. The light dot was sliding far away from where they were, and there was also a gray mist coming from it. "Let's go take a look. We have to be careful." Just as Yang Tianyi finished speaking, a spatial ripple spread over, and then Chen Xiang only saw a white shadow flash over. It was a little white cat with wings. "Yu'er!" Chen Xiang shouted in surprise. Yu'er had also jumped into his embrace. He, I'm here to see you." Yu'er was extremely happy, and the fact that she could still come here showed that her memories had returned to a great extent. Chen Xiang caressed her head and laughed. "It's good that you're okay. I'm worried about you." Can you let us out? Yue looked at Yang Tianyi at the side and meowed in surprise. Yang Tianyi, I didn't expect that you would still be alive. Yang Tianyi laughed. Master Cat, look at me, I have been locked in here for a long time. I should be able to leave now, right? I know I was wrong, but I won't do it again. Oh right, Yue, did that fellow called Ancestor Emperor come out? Chen Xiang asked worriedly. No, but it should be soon. It should be in these 2 days. That fellow is truly A-B-A-S-T-A-R-D. Right now I have only recovered my memories and have yet to recover my strength. I simply cannot deal with him. Yue looked at Yang Tianyi and said, Yang Tianyi, I'll let you out and you help me get rid of that guy. I guarantee that when you return to Star Law Divine Realm in the future, you won't get caught again. Yang Tianyi laughed and patted Chen Xiang's shoulders. Don't worry, I've already promised brother, kill that stupid cow and let him take out his divine soul and merge it with the bones. Yang Tianyi laughed and patted Chen Xiang's shoulders. Don't worry, I've already promised brother, kill that stupid cow and let him take out his divine soul and merge it with the bones. Yue was a little surprised. Chen Xiang had actually gotten along so well with Yang Tianyi. Chen Xiang, how do you know about the Ancestor Emperor? Yue was a little curious and looked at Yang Tianyi. Did this guy tell you? Since you were able to condense bones, it should be because this fellow helped you, right? Back then, when Yang Tianyi plundered a large pile of bone-level Dan's medicinal herbs from the Star Law Divine Realm, Yue naturally knew that she was in charge of this Star Moon H.E.L. and she had a very good understanding of the criminals who were imprisoned inside. No, it was Wu Tsang who told me to come in with this guy. I've already killed that guy. Chen Xiang was already very relieved at this moment, because Yue could bring them out. Yue harumphed. It's good that Wu Tsang died. He's killed me quite a few times. Even after Chen Xiang saw Yue recover her memories, she actually wasn't affected much. She was extremely impressed with Yue's mental state. After all, what she had experienced all these years could be said to be extremely painful. Master Cat, when can you send us out? I'm anxious to see the outside world. I've been locked up here for a long time. Yang Tianyi said with a look of longing. I need a bit more time. Yue was not anxious at all. Yang Tianyi, how many bones do you have now? Can you beat that stupid cow? That B.A.S.T.A.R.D. ambushed me when I was heavily injured, if not I wouldn't have been captured by him. I only have 3 bones, and I don't have a good one either. After so many years, my strength has also increased quite a bit. That stupid cow does not have much pressure on me. Yang Tianyi said, Master Cat, how did you receive such a heavy injury in the first place? As the law enforcer of Star Moon H.E.L., you should be very strong. It's those Divine Nations guys. I met them when I was South Sing by this place, and they were extremely arrogant. In the end, they surrounded me and attacked me. When I escaped to this place, I met that stupid cow and was ambushed by him. Yue said furiously, I have already remembered that, Divine Nations. Once I recover my strength, I will definitely go and find them to settle the score. Chen Xiang and Yang Tianyi both didn't think that Yue becoming like this would actually have something to do with the Divine Nations. Yue, when will you recover your strength? Chen Xiang didn't think that Yue also had a common enemy that he wanted to deal with, and that all the Divine Nations would want to deal with him as well. I need to have the next Star Moon banquet. I can only regain my memories after what happened just now. Chen Xiang immediately understood what she meant by Star Moon banquet. It should be that samsara sacrifice. Can we leave now? Yang Tianyi was already impatient. I need some time. I need 2 to 3 days. Be patient. Yue smiled before flapping her wings and flying into the sky. Chen Xiang and Yang Tianyi immediately saw a circle appear on Yue's flying body, accompanied by a few spirit grains. She was setting up the formation right now. The soil on the ground was formed from the power of the stars. It could be used to arrange a formation and produce a very strong force. Only she can use the power of the divine sense here. She is the master here. It's just that she doesn't have enough strength right now. If she's a little stronger and is able to control this star moon then maybe she can get that stupid cow back. Yang Tianyi was now certain that he would be able to leave soon. He was in a very good mood and his face was full of smiles. Yang Tianyi lay on the ground and laughed. Look at the sky above this place again, because you will never be able to see it again. After we go out, I'm looking forward to testing my 3 bones. I hope that stupid cow is stronger, so that I can have a good time later. Chen Xiang was completely speechless. Other people would always hope that their opponent would be weaker and better, but this Yang Tianyi was hoping that her opponent would be stronger and better. Brother Yang, don't lose when the time comes. Chen Xiang joked. I know the power of that stupid cow. Although he has enjoyed the power of the Star Moon Banquet for so many years, he has been sleeping the entire time. He probably could not absorb it that fast, only by that method. Mr. Cat is very special, so she can have the Star Moon Banquet. Only an existence like her can quickly digest this much power, not that stupid cow. Yang Tianyi said, when the time comes I'll kill him and try my best to capture his divine soul. Furthermore, his divine deity should also contain quite a bit of the power of Star Moon Banquet. It would be best if I can give it to Mr. Cat. Yu was still setting up the teleportation formation. If she was the one who was going out, it would be very easy for her, but right now she had to get Chen Xiang and the prisoner out. It would take a lot of effort. Brother, after I settle this stupid cow, I need to make a trip back to the Star Law Divine Realm to find a divine soul that I am satisfied with and merge it into my bones as soon as possible. When I finish all of this, I will come back to find you all. I don't have enough strength, so I won't be able to face those divine nations. Yang Tianyi was also very loyal. He was very clear that the reason he was able to leave this place now was all because of Chen Xiang and Yu. As for Chen Xiang and Yu, they both had enmity with the divine nations, and he felt that he would have to help Chen Xiang and Yu to fight against the divine nations to repay their gratitude. Moonchild's formation took a long time to complete. She had to spend nearly 2 days to do so. That's enough. Quickly come in, I'll be able to leave after opening the formation. Yu said, I hope that stupid cow isn't outside. Yang Tianyi laughed out loud. It's great that he's outside. The moment I go out, I can beat him up. Yu had brought her own star moon HEL to this place, but was severely injured by the attacks of the divine nations. In the end, she was ambushed by the ancestor emperor, resulting in her becoming the Samsara sacrifice's sacrifice. For many years, the higher-ups of the Star Moon divine race had been enjoying Yu's Star and Moon Banquet, which was why they had become one of the 4 God beast clans. Yu stood on Chen Xiang's shoulder and shouted, I'm going to activate the formation. Chen Xiang and Yang Tianyi nodded. Yu's body started to SHI+NE with a white light. The dirt on the ground suddenly started to SHI+NE. Made Chen Xiang and Yang Tianyi feel like they were inside a sea of stars. This kind of beautiful scene didn't last long before Chen Xiang and Yang Tianyi felt scorching hot flames. They had finally left Star Moon HEL and arrived outside. It's not that star graveyard? Chen Xiang asked in shock when he saw that he was surrounded by prairie. Of course not. When I came in, I had already moved the triangular starstone. Yu was currently standing on top of the triangular flagstone, and the spirit grain on top of the triangular flagstone was still radiating light. Yang Tianyi laughed as he sprinted across the dark green prairie. I'm finally out. I'm finally seeing the light of day again, haha. Yu chuckled a few times, then kept the triangular starstone, which should have been taken in by her divine sense. When Yang Tianyi started laughing crazily, the earth started to shake and an extremely terrifying power burst out from his body. He excitedly tried out the power of the divine sense C that had been suppressed for many years, and combined it with the 3 bones that he had condensed. The power became even more terrifying. When Yang Tianyi started laughing crazily, the earth started to shake and an extremely terrifying power burst out from his body. He excitedly tried out the power of the divine sense C that had been suppressed for many years, and combined it with the 3 bones that he had condensed. The power became even more terrifying. "Quickly stop, this place will be destroyed by you," Yue hastily called out. The plains and the mountains around them were currently violently shaking. Mountains had already collapsed in the distance. When Yang Tianyi heard Yue, he immediately controlled his own strength. It was rare to see flowers and plants. He did not want to cause trouble. "Save your strength for that stupid cow. This fellow probably hasn't come out yet, otherwise he would have changed a long time ago." Yue laughed tenderly. "Yang Tianyi, you better not be messing around here. You don't want to be locked in that D.A.M. Ned place again, right?" Yang Tianyi immediately shook his head. "I'd rather die than go back to that place. Master Cat, you promised me that if I helped you get rid of that stupid cow, I won't be locked in Star Moon H.E.L. again." Yue smiled. "I did promise you, but only if you don't do something too outrageous. Otherwise, I won't be able to protect you." Chen Xiang took a deep breath of the outside air, and then, he also tested circulating the 6 realms power to his left arm. After using the bones on his left arm suddenly trembled, because of the sudden powerful force produced when the 6 realms power and bones clashed, causing Chen Xiang, who was not used to it, to have difficulty controlling it. "So powerful!" Chen Xiang exclaimed. If he had a little more bones, his strength could be imagined. Although it was just a lower God, Chen Xiang relied on the double bone level on his arm, his strength comparable to a upper heavenly God, so if he fused with the powerful divine soul and entered the bones, his strength would become even more terrifying. "Strange? You only managed to cultivate a single bones, so your strength shouldn't be so terrifying." Yue sat on Chen Xiang's left shoulder, and she could very clearly feel the power that had just exploded out of Chen Xiang's left arm. It was truly very frightening. Yue, who had regained her memories, was a very ancient ranker, the law enforcer of the Star Law Divine Realm. From the way Yang Tianyi treated her, he knew that a law enforcer like Yue was extremely terrifying. Yet now they did not understand why Chen Xiang's strength was so terrifying. This kid is a monster. What he condensed out was the double bone level, and there's actually 2 bones in one of his arms. I have never heard of such a thing. Yang Tianyi only ate 2 bone level danas before he cultivated double bone level. Back then, he had eaten a lot of bone level Dan-S medicine and his tongue was numb from it, but he was only able to cultivate 3 bones pills. But the most amazing thing about Chen Xiang was that in his growth dimension, only 1 set of bones could be produced from a single place, but he had miraculously managed to condense 2. After Chen Xiang combined with the 6 realms power, he almost couldn't control that kind of terrifying power. "Double bone level!" Yue cried out in alarm, "Is this for real?" After saying that, she fluttered her wings and flew up, hugging Chen Xiang's left arm. In just a moment, she had confirmed that there were indeed 2 bones inside Chen Xiang's arm. When Chen Xiang saw Yue, he was startled and hurriedly asked, "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" Of course it's good news. Even though this kind of situation had happened before, it was extremely rare. A fellow who could cultivate double bone level was extremely terrifying when it came to the later stages, especially when one needed to strengthen their bones to raise their strength. At that time, it will be extremely difficult to raise even a little bit, and with the double bone level, you will have an extra set of bones. Yue's tone was also filled with jealousy and envy as she continued, "Do you know what it means to have an extra bones? That fellow with a lower bones can be completely crushed like you." Chen Xiang laughed. "Right now I'm still far from that kind of limit. Normally, what level would I have to reach to rely on raising my bones? The 100 GODS level is the limit. At that time, I will need to strengthen my bones and use it to break through the limits of my own strength. In theory, the divine soul contained within can be very strong, and normally, it will enter through the late stages of the divine soul. For example, right now, your bones already has a set of divine soul. Yang Tianyi interrupted, but it's extremely dangerous. The fusion of the two types of divine soul is already very unstable, it's very likely to be like refining pills and explode. One of them is gone. Yue said, at that time, in order to increase my strength a little, there's no other way. Chen Xiang curled his lips. You're saying that kind of realm is easy to reach. I only have 2 divine deities right now, and I still need 98 more divine deities to reach. I still don't know how many years it will take. Yue tenderly snorted, what do you know, brat? With your innate talent, going to that realm is only a matter of time, so you must definitely choose your first soul of bones, otherwise you will have to take the risk later when you need to increase your bones. There were many fellows from the 100 GODS level in the Star Law Divine Realm. After being in the Star Law Divine Realm for so many years, many of them had already reached the peak of their existence. The so-called peak level is 100 GODS level, the 9 bones. Yang Tianyi laughed and said, Master Cat, do you think it's possible for Brother Chen Xiang to use double bone level every time he condenses his bones? This. Yue thought for a moment, then immediately shook her head. Definitely not, it's already extremely difficult to come out with a double bone level. If he comes out every time, he'll end up with 18 bones in the end. When Chen Xiang thought about the 98 divine deity he still had to cultivate, he could not help but sigh. This must be a very long road. Big Brother Yang, come back with us first. If that ancestor emperor appears, he will definitely come looking for us. It won't be too late for you to take action then. Bringing Yang Tianyi back to the Heroes Gathering Divine City was no big deal. What's more, this was a very strong guy. Yang Tianyi nodded his head. Anyway, I've been locked up for so long, I still want to explore this world. Just as Chen Xiang was about to open the spatial tunnel, Yue and Yang Tianyi's expressions suddenly changed. The stupid cow is awake, this guy actually became so powerful. Yang Tianyi, are you able to handle it? Yue asked with worry. Yang Tianyi said with a serious face. You can, but I need to merge a divine soul with my own. Yue replied. I'll gift you with a set of divine soul. Although it's not that good, it's still much better than fusing with your own divine soul. When necessary, he could also merge his own divine soul into his own. Yue took out a pearl from nowhere and handed it to Yang Tianyi. Yue took out a pearl from nowhere and handed it to Yang Tianyi. Yang Tianyi looked at the blue flickering flame inside the bead and asked, This divine soul is very familiar, I think I've seen it somewhere before. This is Star Divine Soul. After the destruction of some sun-like stars, it is possible that they would give birth to this kind of Star Divine Soul. I have only collected this for many years. Yue said. Yang Tianyi was surprised and laughed. Your divine soul is not bad, why didn't you just give it to this kid? That ancestor emperor's divine soul might not even be as good as this. No, that stupid cow has quite a bit of divine soul. If we give it to Chen Xiang to retrieve the soul, he only needs to take out most of the divine soul and the divine deity of that stupid cow, and then let him refine everything into a whole. That would be the strongest. Yue said. Chen Xiang had the heavenly alchemy, so fusing divine soul and divine deity that were of the same origin was simply too easy. This was something Chen Xiang had never thought of before. Yang Tianyi nodded his head. He knew that Chen Xiang had very good pill refining skills, and laughed. Then I will not be courteous, it is just that when the time comes, I will need some time to fuse them. Currently, in this place, the ancestor emperor who had just woken up was the strongest. No one could deal with him unless he personally took action. However, Yue knew that the ancestor emperor was also connected to the divine nations. Yue had a very bad impression of those divine nations as, when she first arrived here, she was attacked by the strong warriors of the divine nations. So Yue placed her hopes on Yang Tianyi, and furthermore, after Yang Tianyi killed the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor, he could still obtain divine deity from them. Yue was very clear that the reason she had the chance to recover her memories was all because Chen Xiang had risked his life to save her, and she also liked to stay by Chen Xiang's side. Go back to the heroes gathering Divine City and fuse with them. When the time comes, we will provide you with a place. But when you go to that city, you must converge and not destroy it. Just now, Yang Tianyi had almost destroyed this beautiful land. Very quickly, Chen Xiang and Yue brought Yang Tianyi back to Heroes Gathering Divine City. The Heroes Gathering Divine City's great assembly was called the Assembly of the Supreme Gods. The elites from the various forces in the Super God realm were gathered here to compete with each other, and if there were any good seedlings, they would be selected by the divine nations and sent into the world of the divine nations to be nurtured. This was something that many outstanding young disciples looked forward to, so when the time came, everyone would definitely fight with all their might. Chen Xiang brought Yang Tianyi to his shop. Right now, the shop was closed, but there was someone inside. Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan were both here. When they saw Chen Xiang and Yue had returned, they were extremely happy because they were extremely worried about Chen Xiang. Bingyan! Yue shouted with her sweet voice, then happily threw herself into Shui Bingyan's embrace. Hel. Lo, elder brother Shen, this big brother is. When Shui Bingyan saw Chen Xiang, he immediately greeted him and then looked at him. He's big brother Yang. He needs a EUNT now. Chen Xiang smiled and caressed Shui Bingyan's hair. Yue replied, I know where it is. I'll take him there. Yang Tianyi cupped his fists towards Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan, and then hurriedly followed Yue. Who is this person? Feng Yujie hurriedly went forward to hug Chen Xiang, because she found out from Yue that Chen Xiang had met with danger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not returned even at the start of the convention. Chen Xiang kissed her small mouth and said, It's all right, just now Big Brother Yang was a good person who helped me. Furthermore, he still has to help Yue to defeat the enemy. Right, aren't you going to watch the convention begin? Feng Yujie shook his head. I didn't hear any news about you, I don't want to go anywhere. The White Tiger and Vermilion Bird have also gone to join in the fun. They have been chatting with Mu Chen and Xiao Chang'e very much. Yue flew back, saying with a smile, That guy has already gone into seclusion. Once he defeats that stupid cow, we'll be safe. Feng Yujie asked curiously, What exactly happened to you two? I keep having the feeling that you are hiding something big. Let me say it. Yue hurriedly shouted, because the moment she recovered her memories, she immediately told Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan that she was in trouble, and then hurriedly left. She didn't even have time to tell Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan about her own matters. Chen Xiang asked, The great games have begun, is it okay if we don't go? It's fine, we are only announcing the start of the conference. Today, we will be competing in other matches, we will be refining Shopping Dan tomorrow. Feng Yujie said. Yue began to recount her experiences, how she was besieged by divine nations' rankers and then ambushed by them, becoming their sacrifice. Finally, she went to the Moon Slaughter Devil Nest to save Chen Xiang. This is the Bone Level Dan's medicine. Chen Xiang took out 2 copies and gave it to Feng Yujie, then laughed. This is very easy to refine, you don't need me to teach you. These Bone Level Dan's medicinal ingredients are all low-grade, we have to make high-grade ones. Feng Yujie's face immediately blushed a little. She and Chen Xiang had been separated for a period of time, and thinking about the pear cultivation's sweet and intoxicating feeling, she couldn't help but feel lost in her heart. Chen Xiang still had a bone-level Dan, he said. Bingyan, try eating one first. After cultivating bones, you will become stronger. Yue said. Bingyan is a Tao spirit, she has already cultivated a body similar to a human's, and might even be stronger than a human's. Furthermore, her comprehension towards natural strength is deeper, so cultivating bones isn't too difficult. Let me teach her. Feng Yujie rubbed Yuer's back and laughed. Yuer, you can't possibly have always been a little kitten, right? You were definitely not like this in the past. You should have also cultivated out your bones by now. Of course, I only need to have the star and moon feast to recover my strength. At that time, I can also take human form. Yuer smiled and said, Bingyan, let's go. Yuer had already seen through the expressions of Chen Xiang and Muyuro just now. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie did not enter the room, but went into the pill refining room instead. They still had some bone-level Dan's ingredients, and Feng Yujie also needed to condense his bones, so they decided to first refine the pills, and as for dual cultivation, that was tonight. Chen Xiang spent a lot of time refining bone-level Dan in the Divine Sense Sea, but it only took 4 hours to refine a furnace outside. There were a total of 5 pills. Are you going to eat now? Chen Xiang asked. No, we'll eat after the convention ends. At that time, we might need some time. Feng Yujie shook his head. When they came out of the refining room, they saw Yuer and Shui Bingyan in the hall, and knew that Shui Bingyan did not manage to cultivate bones out of the pellet. There are still 9 pills here, take them. Chen Xiang refined 5 pills, Feng Yujie refined 4. It will definitely work this time. Yuer and Shui Bingyan then entered the secret room. On the morning of the second day, Chen Xiang, who was sleeping soundly, heard Yuer's sweet laughter, and immediately woke up. Last night, he did not dual cultivate with Feng Yujie to condense spirit orbs, but rather went through the sweetest time with her. That kind of gentle and intoxicating sweetness also made him sleep very soundly. On the morning of the second day, Chen Xiang, who was sleeping soundly, heard Yuer's sweet laughter, and immediately woke up. Last night, he did not dual cultivate with Feng Yujie to condense spirit orbs, but rather went through the sweetest time with her. That kind of gentle and intoxicating sweetness also made him sleep very soundly. Bingyan has cultivated the bones, and after she simulates the divine soul, she will become stronger. When Yuer saw Chen Xiang walking out, she quickly told him the good news. So fast. Chen Xiang was also happy. How many bone-level Dan were used? 4 pills. In her eyes, condensing the first bones from 10 bone-level Dan to less was not bad at all. Sister Feng, when will you start? Let me teach you. Yuer said. When I'm done with the compet. 1. Tian, I'll have to trouble you. Feng Yujie smiled gently and carried Yuer over. She was liking this little kitty more and more. There's no need to be polite, we're all on the same side. Yuer giggled. Chen Xiang sat down and started to eat the dim sum Shui Bingyan had made. During this time, Shui Bingyan had learnt to cook a lot of food. Yuer, is that star law divine realm using Xin Yuan stone as well? Chen Xiang asked. I never thought that Xin Yuan stone flowed this much. It's normal because Xin Yuan stone are easier to absorb. Sometimes, Xin Yuan stone that are exchanged with ordinary herbs get a stronger power than those medicinal herbs. Yuer nodded her head. However, if you want to sell pills in Star Law Divine Realm, then you definitely won't do. Once you are discovered, you will definitely be arrested. Chen Xiang had already heard this from Yang Tianyi before, so he felt that he would definitely go to the Star Law Divine Realm in the future. Let's go in Partic. 1p8 in the convention. Feng Yujie said, we were the first to fight in the 10th hall. As the youngest disciples of the 10th hall, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie were also extremely outstanding. The regeneration Dan they refined had long ago become very famous, and as a result they earned a lot of Xin Yuan stone. The compet. 1. Tian venue was in that huge plaza. When Chen Xiang and the others arrived, they saw that there was a huge flag on the plaza, with the word "pill" written on it. When Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie arrived, it caused a huge commotion. Back then, the regeneration dance Chen Xiang refined with his palm shocked many young disciples of alchemists and other forces. Chen Xiang could easily refine a middle-stage regeneration dan, but now he had to partic. 1p8 in the shopping dance compet. 1. Tian, which made the pressure on the disciples partic. 1p. Aiding in the shopping dan compet. 1. Tian to be huge. In the ranking of the inferior stage Pil Gods, there were also many medial stage Pil Gods, who could refine Zhongping Dan. They all felt a little regretful now as they felt that partic. 1p. Aiding in the medial stage Pil God would be much easier than this. The compet. 1 tie-in between the inferior stage Pil Gods started first, and ended in 3 battles to determine the victor. The compet. 1. Tie-in would end in the morning, so many alchemists were under a lot of pressure. A single morning was only that little bit of time, yet they had to compete 3 times. Disciples, please enter the stage. The one who presided over the compet. 1 tie-in was Old Iron C.O.C.K. He walked to the compet. 1 tie-in venue of the lower stage G.O.D. of pills. Only after the compet. 1 tie-in between the demi-G.O.D. rank had finished did he reach the level of a G.O.D. Chen Xiang used the plate he got from registering to enter the compet. 1 tie-in. Before entering, Chen Xiang had already heard Luo Tianjuan's sound transmission in his mind, telling him about his important opponent. Luo Tianjun and 3 Gu brothers didn't see Chen Xiang yesterday, so they were very worried, thinking that Chen Xiang had gone out to play again. In a few of the buildings beside the compet. 1 Tian Plaza, a few well-dressed, middle-aged men who seemed to be very powerful were all looking at Chen Xiang. That's him. He cultivates the God murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy. A middle-aged man dressed in gold pointed at Chen Xiang and said, and the 6 realms mirrors is also in his hands. The other red-clothed middle-aged man said, what should we do now? These things are all on him. If we let him continue growing like this, he will become another heavenly divine lord or 6th divine lord. A middle-aged man wearing a blue robe said coldly, it wouldn't be easy for him to kill him. Didn't you see that he had a profound clothing on him? Killing him won't be easy, but crippling him won't be difficult. The golden-cloaked middle-aged man said, it's just that when the time comes, who will stop him? The Lord Hallmaster of Supreme Divine Palace should be able to do that, but it's easier to deal with him. The middle-aged man looked at the others and asked for their opinion. In the end of the compet. 1. Tian, we'll secretly make a move and capture him. We'll see if he's willing to submit to us. If he's unwilling, we can just kill him. If he really can't be killed, then let him become trash. Middle-aged man in black armor who had not spoken all this while spoke out. His ice-cold voice was filled with power, and it was obvious that he had a lot of prestige amongst the few middle-aged men. The other middle-aged men nodded. I wonder if the other divine nations are hiding here, and don't let them snatch them away. Furthermore, they should have already heard about Chen Xiang's situation with the 6 realms mirrors, God murdering sword techniques and heavenly alchemy on him. Even if we cannot obtain them, we cannot let them obtain them. The middle-aged man in black armor said. The golden-cloaked man said, isn't this inappropriate? If they knew that we did so, that wouldn't be appropriate. Middle-aged man in black armor laughed coldly. So when we attack, we have to hide ourselves and we can't let them know. We have to be faster than them, of course, even if they knew, what can they do to us? Chen Xiang, who was familiarizing himself with his opponents on the stage, did not know that on the buildings around the plaza, the experts sent by the divine nations were hiding and scheming how to deal with him. Although Chen Xiang did not know, but he could guess that the rancors sent by the 9G.O.DS nation would definitely make a move against him during this period of time. Thus, he had already asked Feng Yujie to rope in some of the rancors within the Supreme Divine Palace to help him find a helper. Of course, with the vermilion bird and the white tiger around, he was extremely at ease. With Yang Tianyi, who had cultivated up to the third bones, at the bottom of the shop, he was even more at ease. There were more than 200 Partic. 1p ants Partic. 1p, aiding in the demi-G.O.D's compet. 1. Tian, and compared to the crowd of disciples that stood around the plaza, these 200 named demi-G.O.D could be said to be very few, and there were only about 10 young faces. Other than Supreme Divine Palace's people, there were also 6 Realms Divine Palace's people as well as the other powerhouses, and there were also young demi-G.O.D. At this moment, over 200 strong men walked in with a large vat filled with all kinds of low-grade divine medicines. These brawny men walked to the side of the 200 over alchemy gods and put down the large vat. This should be the magical pill used in the compet. 1 Tian. There were a lot of divine medicines in the huge vat, and they were all of good quality. At this moment, all of the alchemists in the arena could tell the quality based on the smell of the divine medicines. There were a lot of divine medicines in the huge vat, and they were all of good quality. At this moment, all of the alchemists in the arena could tell the quality based on the smell of the divine medicines. The disciples that were Partic. 1p, aiding in the compet. 1. Tian all stood up and carefully looked at the divine medicines within the large vat. Many of them frowned because they did not recognize these divine medicines. Chen Xiang didn't know either, in the knowledge that Feng Yujie had said on to him, there was nothing related to these divine medicines. These divine medicines were all obtained by those fellows from divine nations. They will give you the pill formulas later, and have you all refine them according to the formulas. Luo Tianjun whispered to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang quietly swept across the crowd and realized that there were a few who were calm, 3 of them were young, and the other 2 were old. They all looked calm when they saw the strange divine medicines, and Chen Xiang suspected that someone behind them was also telling them what the rules were. In these vats, there are 2 jade plates and pill formulas. The first round of the compet. 1. Tian is to refine the shopping dan S within the limited amount of pills. Once the sand in the hourglass S is emptied, this round will be the end of the compet. 1 Tian. Old Iron K pointed to an hourglass S in the distance. It looked relatively small, so he could only hold on for 4 hours at most. In just 4 hours, he would have to refine 2 batches of shopping dan, and it was the kind of shopping dan that had never been refined before. What Chen Xiang was more concerned about was that there were only 2 types of pill formulas, but there were too many divine medicines in the huge vat. There were at least 100 types of low-ranked divine medicines, and there were even more than 10 large black tree roots beneath them. Chen Xiang suspected that these 2 shopping dan would need to use up all of the divine medicine in the huge vat. If that was the case, then refining one of the shopping dan would require at least 10 different sets of low-rank divine medicine. You can start looking for the pill formulas now. After old Iron K finished speaking, the hourglass S started to flip and the disciples Partic. 1p. Aiding in the tournament started to curse in their hearts. Before this, Chen Xiang had already clearly seen the inside of the large jar with his divine sense, so he quickly took out 2 jade tablets and dripped some blood into his divine sense to take a look. Just as he had guessed before, the 2 divine pellets that he wanted to refine required dozens of sets of divine pellets. Inside the jade token, there was only the recipe, not the name of the supreme dan. What is the purpose of these divine pellets? I can't see anything from these ingredients. These divine nations are really mysterious. Chen Xiang planned to first refine the pellets that required the most amounts of mystical pills, and he would need 70 of them. Picking out the divine medicines from the vats also required a lot of time, as this was a huge test of the alchemist's speed in recognizing the divine medicines. Right now, many of the alchemists were complaining in their hearts, because they felt that just picking the divine medicines out of the vats and handling them a little was already a long time ago. Chen Xiang did not feel anything, he treated it as a challenge. From the very start of the match, he wasn't competing with anyone else, but rather, he was fighting against time. These alchemists had very high requirements in many aspects. If they were impatient, they would start to get very irritated right now, so when they were sorting through the divine medicines, it would also have a huge impact, causing their speed to become very slow. Those who weren't confident enough would have the thought of giving up, feeling that they would definitely lose. This sort of person was already destined to lose. Of course, there were many outstanding alchemists present who were able to keep their cool and calmly go over to pick and choose the divine medicine. Chen Xiang had already heard quite a few sighs and complaints, because there were other kinds of mystical pills inside the huge vat. They were not used to refine the two types of divine pills, but were purposely mixed inside to increase the difficulty of the compet. 1 Tian. The divine medicines that have been mixed in are somewhat similar to the divine medicines used to refine the competing divine pellet. If one is not careful, they will be able to recognize their mistakes. Is this a test of your ability to discern medicinal herbs? Chen Xiang also felt that it was a little difficult to refine at this time. After half an hour, finally, someone started to refine pills. This caused many people to focus their gaze on this person. It was an extremely luxuriously dressed old man, the alchemy god of 6 realms divine palace. The pill furnace used by this old man was also very big. As he refined the pills, he sorted out the divine medicines he had poured out of the vat. He also had to sort out the second type of divine pills that were needed to concoct in the compet. 1 Tian. This way, a great deal of time could be saved, and many of the partic. 1 P. Aiding disciples also planned on doing so. It wasn't easy to do this, especially when one was concocting a strange divine pill. If one was distracted and went to pick and choose divine medicines, it was very easy to fail. Chen Xiang did not do that, because these types of divine pills were unfamiliar to him. He had to be careful, since he only needed to succeed in refining 2 types of divine pills in this compet. 1 Tian. That old man is Xiao Changle's disciple that he just accepted. Although he is very old, his strength is not bad and he is very talented. His talent in pill refining was dug out by Xiao Changle. Luo Tianjun sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. According to what I know, there are at least 5 people here who have refined those 2 divine pellets. This is because the people that the divine nations has sent have all come in contact with these 5 pill gods before. Chen Xiang immediately understood why the old man from the 6 realms divine palace would be so fast and nimble. This was the only way to gain the most time. Chen Xiang changed his strategy. He would first pick out 2 types of miracle medicines before starting to refine them. In a short period of time, there were more than 20 people partic. 1 P. Aiding in the compet. 1 Tian who started fire to concoct pills, but Chen Xiang had yet to begin, and now, an hour had already passed, said. Chen Xiang picked out the divine medicine and carefully examined it again. If the divine medicine was wrong, it would be equivalent to failure, so Chen Xiang chose this point very carefully. I'll just use this cauldron. It should be sufficient. Chen Xiang took out a relatively large pill furnace. This pill furnace was very ordinary. He had asked Feng Yujie to prepare these for him. It was not that Chen Xiang did not want to use a good pill furnace, it was just that he had not found anything satisfactory, so he brought a lot of normal pill furnaces with him. There's still an hour left, it should be enough. Chen Xiang looked at the hourglass. SS and then placed the first batch of GOD's pills medicinal ingredients into the furnace. There was a total of 70 set. Chen Xiang was very famous amongst the inferior level pill GODs, especially with his miraculous pill refining skills. It did not follow common sense at all. According to the pill formulas, there should be a sequence of 70 types of GOD medicines, but he threw them all in one go. What was shocking was not only that, but also that he threw the other 60 sets of ingredients in. Those 60 sets of divine medicines were meant to be used to refine the second kind of shopping dan. If one pill furnace could concoct two similar divine medicines at the same time, it wouldn't be surprising at all. Even a pill GOD with a decent level would be able to do so. But right now, the divine pellets Chen Xiang refined were two different kinds. There was a huge difference between the two types of divine pellets, but he actually threw them into a furnace to refine them, and this was his first time refining one. This was also because Chen Xiang had no other choice. He had planned to use 2 pill furnaces, but with 2 pill furnaces, he needed to be distracted even more. Now that the 2 divine pills were in the same furnace, although he needed to be distracted, it wasn't as serious as the 2 pill furnaces. This was also because Chen Xiang had no other choice. He had planned to use 2 pill furnaces, but with 2 pill furnaces, he needed to be distracted even more. Now that the 2 divine pills were in the same furnace, although he needed to be distracted, it wasn't as serious as the 2 pill furnaces. The alchemy that Chen Xiang used was original source refining, that he had comprehended himself. Using this alchemy to refine divine pills was easier to control, which was why he did it. On the surface, it seemed like he had to take both sides into consideration, but in reality, he had now divided the 100 over divine medicines into more than 100 separate regions, and was going to use his flames to quickly refine them and search for spirit blood. In the past, when he refined those divine pellets that he had never refined before, he would only use the original source refining to refine them bit by bit. But now that he had the time to do so, he could only use the flames to quickly refine them according to his own experience. He's using the heavenly alchemy now? I have heard of the heavenly alchemy, but I have never seen how it is used, so I can't tell how he refined it either. He was also from divine nations, and although he looked very young, and his clothes were relatively ordinary, his status was much more than the middle-aged men who were discussing how to kill Chen Xiang previously. The red-clothed man watched from the window, and an old man beside him said, "Young how about we capture him and have him teach you heavenly alchemy? I can make my move now." "No, I heard that cultivating the heavenly alchemy requires a lot of luck. I don't want this kind of forceful method, I want to let nature take its course." "Don't do it, I want to see how this Chen Xiang pass," said this compet. 1. Tian, and see if he is as G.O.D. as the legends say. The red-clothed man's voice was somewhat severe. He was obviously criticizing the old man for his barbaric actions just now. The old man's expression turned to one of fear as he hurriedly said, "Young master is right, this old servant knows he is wrong. It's good that you know your wrongs." The red-clothed man nodded his head, then asked, "In the compet 1 Tian arena, the first few inferior-grade pill GODs who started refining pills were all chosen by the other divine nations, right? Our divine nations would definitely not do such a thing. We must select the truly outstanding alchemists to cultivate." "Sir, if Chen Xiang wins, are you going to bring him back to the divine nations? I heard that many divine nations want to capture him. Even if they can't, they have to destroy him." The old man said, "I've heard of this before, so let nature take its course." The red-clothed man casually said. He didn't force anything, everything was as it should be. It had already been 2 hours, and many of the Partic 1. Aiding disciples were sweating profusely. As for the old man from 6 Realms Divine Palace, he had a relaxed expression on his face, as if victory was in his grasp. But the one who attracted the most attention was Chun Xiang, because he was refining 2 different divine pellets within the same furnace, but there were many different divine pellets, 2 unfamiliar divine pellets. Seeing that he persisted for so long without making any mistakes, one could tell that he had a chance. So that's how it is. This first round isn't about pill refining, but about mental state. Actually, these 2 pills are all very easy to forge. They are just a test of one's patience and confidence. Chun Xiang never thought that he would find spirit blood S from the divine medicines so quickly. Furthermore, it was very easy to fuse them together. Chun Xiang was curious now, why would those divine nations open a backdoor for some of the disciples here? Could it be that he had already been selected by the divine nations? Completed. The old man from 6 Realms Divine Palace opened his eyes and said indifferently. He was the first to start a fire to refine pills and also the first to refine a pill. He opened the pill furnace. Inside were 4 dazzling divine pills. Although he did not know what kind of pills they were, they looked pretty good. Next, he began the second bat. As he began, more and more people began to complete the first set of divine pills. Currently, 10 people had already finished the first furnace and were beginning to refine the second furnace. As for the second furnace, it was the most difficult and had a lot of medicinal ingredients. Another hour passed, said in the blink of an eye. It hadn't been long since the end of the compet. 1 Tian. Chun Xiang has not been refined yet, is there a mistake? It's all been lit here. Gu Lao-san said. What's the rush? Can't you see that Chun Xiang is still very calm? The oldest Gu replied, it's not like you didn't see this little brat using his palm to refine pills last time. I wouldn't even be surprised if he had any tricks up his sleeve. Feng Yujie laughed. Even though you say that, he is always able to catch me by surprise. Luo Tianjun scoffed. These divine pellets are all useless divine pellets, they can be merged anytime they want. Eating these kind of divine pellets is just making me feel comfortable, it's really a scam. Luo Tianjun had already looked at those medicinal ingredients very carefully just now, so he could recognize some of them. Look, that old man has finished the second furnace. This guy is really amazing. Xiao Chou shouted. He did not know that the old man was at the back door. He had already refined it once, which was why he was so fast. After becoming the first person to complete the task, the elder did not have any expression on his face. He slowly took out the 4 white divine pills from the pill furnace and handed them over. Chun Xiang felt that it was strange. If he and a few others who went through the back door were already selected by the divine nations, why would they come and partake? 1 P8 in this kind of compet. 1 Tian? Could it be for the sake of entering the divine nations in name? Chun Xiang suddenly understood. Looks like all these fellows gave the people sent by the divine nations a lot of benefits. Those who came from the divine nations were definitely rich and powerful, but they were still bribed. From this, it could be seen how expensive the few people from the back door must have paid. Chun Xiang suddenly thought that the old man from 6 Realms Divine Palace had entered the divine nations. Could it be that it was arranged by Xiao Chang'e? Most likely, only the Hall Master of the 6 Realms Divine Palace, Xiao Chang'e, could come into contact with the experts sent by the divine nations and give them some benefits so that they could bring the old man back to the divine nations. There was not much time left, only 6 people could finish it, while Chun Xiang was still refining pills. He was not in a rush, because he believed that he could finish it before the time was up. All right. Chun Xiang shouted, patting the lid of his pill furnace. It was half the height of a man, it was as big as a water jar. After he was done, there were still some hourglasses left. Previously, many people were nervous for Chun Xiang, because the time was almost up. Seeing that he had finished shouting, they also wanted to see if he had really completed it. After all, he was concocting 2 pills in a single pill furnace. There was a middle-aged man by Old Iron COCK's side. This middle-aged man was responsible for inspecting the divine pellets that were refined, and it looked like he came from divine nations. He said to Chen Xiang, "Take out the divine pellets that you have refined." Chen Xiang did not immediately take out the divine pill, but instead walked towards the middle-aged man who was in charge of inspecting the pill furnace. The pill god who was in charge of inspecting and accepting the divine pill raised his hand, and indicated that Chen Xiang should not continue carrying the pill furnace up, and said, "There's no need to bring the pill furnace up, you can just directly give the divine pill to me." The pill god who was in charge of inspecting and accepting the divine pill raised his hand, and indicated that Chen Xiang should not continue carrying the pill furnace up, and said, "There's no need to bring the pill furnace up, you can just directly give the divine pill to me." The divine pills refined during the compet. 1. Tian were not his own. This point was not objected to by all the party. 1p ants. As long as the divine pills were to pass S, he would pass S the first round. Chen Xiang continued to walk up and said with a smile, "It's extremely necessary." The middle-aged man did not say anything and waited for Chen Xiang to bring the pill furnace over. The road was not far. Chen Xiang quickly walked to the stage and put down the pill furnace. They were high up, invisible to the gods below, only visible to those on the buildings at the edge of the field. Chen Xiang opened the lid of the pill furnace, an array of red light shone. The light enveloped the entire hole in the furnace, making it impossible to see what kind of delay pill was inside. Seeing these clouds of light, many pill gods' first reactions were that they thought this was the spirit of the divine pill. Generally, only the highest quality divine pills would be able to reach the peak of perfection. In the past, Chen Xiang had also refined pills of this quality, it was just that they were all below the holy pellet level. He had never refined a divine pellet before, and very few people had the strength to do so. "It's not pill light, but..." When Luo Tianjun saw it clearly, he was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. At this time, many people had also seen it. The reason why there was such a strong light was not because of the divine pills, but because there were too many divine pills inside. The middle-aged man who was in charge of inspecting the pill furnace was stunned. He had seen it clearly the moment he had opened the lid. He was stunned for a while before recovering from his shock. He took a deep breath and said with a trembling voice, "A total of 347 pills." The disciples that were originally spectating at the side of the plaza were all whispering to each other. When they heard the middle-aged man's words, they all immediately quietened down. The person who produced the most pills was 6 Realms Divine Palaces pill god. He was the first to complete it. His output surprised many pill gods, though it was just a few pills. But now, Chen Xiang had more than 300 pills. Many people had not seen it with their own eyes, so they would rather believe in the Sun formula than believe that Chen Xiang could refine a few hundred pills in one go. Although it was just a shopping dan, it was still difficult to refine. The middle-aged man held up the pill furnace and poured out the more than 300 divine pills, each of which was glowing brightly. These were the 2 types of pills combined, one was golden and the other was white. These over 300 supreme Dan beads were piled up in a small pile on the ground. One glance was enough to tell that these were absolutely supreme Dan beads. The pill gods that produced the pills from before, all added together, were not as many as him. Because these pills were all useless and had so many medicinal ingredients, Chen Xiang was able to refine 2 or 3 of them using his refining method. That was why he had so many pills in the end. "Gongzi, you're also an apothecary. What's going on?" The old man behind the red-clothed man was extremely astonished. His face was filled with disbelief. The red-clothed man frowned as he pondered, shaking his head. "I don't know, I've already refined this kind of divine pill before. Back when I was taking the exam to refine these two kinds of divine pills, the difficulty of refining them wasn't too high. At that time, I could only refine 3 pills each. Young master, the reason Chun Xiang is so powerful is definitely because of the heavenly alchemy. We must definitely get him. Greed flashed in the old man's eyes. The red-clothed man said indifferently, "It's mine, it will always be mine. If I were to S.N.A.T.C. H the heavenly alchemy, I think I wouldn't be able to be like him, because the heavenly alchemy doesn't belong to me in the first place. If the heavenly alchemy is mine, then I don't even need to S.N.A.T.C.H it." The old man couldn't help but sigh, because his young master was such a person. Young master, if you can obtain the heavenly alchemy, then the emperor's seat would most likely be yours. The emperor had repeatedly hinted that the emperor's position and everything about him would be said on to the most capable prince. Young master, although you have decent talent, but the other princes? The red-clothed man faintly smiled. I've never thought of fighting for the throne. I just need to watch from the side. If I partook 1. p. 8 in this kind of boring and foolish thing, wouldn't I be watched by others? The old man was speechless. If one obtained the throne, they could control a divine nations and had supreme power. If they received the inheritance, their strength could rise to another level. There were so many princes and princes in the divine nations. However, only the red-clothed man did not have such thoughts. The rankers sent by the divine nations were even more eager to get the heavenly alchemy. They all thought that as long as they could get the heavenly alchemy, they would need to refine a few hundred of the divine pellets, just like Chun Xiang had done. Chun Xiang already knew that the rankers sent by the divine nations were nearby, so he purposely put on a high profile. The reason he did that was to make these people take action against him, and at that time, he would let Yang Tianyi kill them all. After Chun Xiang had said, there was still one more person who had finished refining the hourglass when it was just finished. Now, there was a total of 5 people who could enter the next round. Originally, there were many disciples who entered the compet. 1. Tian, but now there were only 8 left, showing just how difficult the next round would be. Right now, it was no longer the Pill God who was competing with the Pill God, but rather challenging the harsh rules of the compet. 1 Tian. 3 matches were going to take place in half a day, so time was of the essence. The old Iron COC K announced the rules of the second round. There is no need for the second round. The 5 people who produce the most pills can enter the final round. Hearing this rule, the 3 Pill GODs who produced the least amount of pills felt extremely unwilling, but they did not dare to say anything. They could only walk out of the arena with regret. Chun Xiang guessed that the rules for the second round had definitely been changed at the last minute, because such a rule was simply too general, but there was nothing that he could do. After all, no one objected, and as a disciple partook. 1 p. aiding in the compet. 1. Tian, he naturally didn't dare to say anything. Just when Chun Xiang was guessing this way, Luo Tianjun sent him a sound transmission. The rules for the second round were not like this, they suddenly changed. This should be because someone is worried about an uncontrollable situation occurring in this match. Old Iron COC K continued to speak. Now, the third round, if you can enter the top 3, you will receive a reward. The second and third place had 2 precious Xiaoping Dan recipes, and the one in first place will receive the Zhongping Dan's pill formula. Old Iron COC paused for a moment, then continued. The third rank's pill formula is the Beast Spirit Pellet, the second rank is the Clone Spirit Pellet, the first rank is the Life Soul Divine Pellet. Now that he had announced the rewards for the Divine Pellet formulas, Chun Xiang felt a lot more at ease. Otherwise, if he were to suddenly receive a ranking, he would temporarily decide to give some garbage Divine Pellet formulas. Hearing the name of these 3 geodaily pills, the crowd of pill geodes were all amazed, because the pill formulas of these 3 geodaily pills were indeed very precious. Hearing the name of these 3 geodaily pills, the crowd of pill geods were all amazed, because the pill formulas of these 3 geodaily pills were indeed very precious. If there was such a generous reward for a match between a demi-G OD, then what about a GOD and a high GOD? Everyone was guessing. The ruler beast pill is mainly used to feed the divine beast. As long as you feed it to the special GOD beast for a period of time, then it is very likely that this special GOD beast will identify you as its master, and even if it is very powerful, it will still obediently listen to you. The second type of pill, after consuming it, would produce a pill the size of an egg, spitting it out of its mouth. After a period of time, the pill would break out of its SAEL and become a little person, and after feeding it a GOD transforming pill every 7 days, that little person would become exactly the same size as him. He would lose all consciousness and become a little person. If there were some situations where he had to give up his physical body and run out of divine soul, then this backup clone would have a lot of use. Thus, the divine clone pellet was a very special and rare type of divine pellet. Although they were both low-grade, but the medicinal ingredients for these 2 divine pellets could both evolve. If he could find high-grade divine medicines, then he could also refine high-grade ones. And the prize for first place, the Life Soul Divine Pill, was extremely useful to Chen Xiang. The Life Soul Pill was similar to the GOD Clone Pill. The GOD Clone Pill mainly focused on cultivating its own spare body. On the other hand, the Life Soul Pellet could cultivate and produce divine soul. It could be said to be a copy of a divine soul that one already had. However, it wasn't like the GOD transforming pellet, where it was guaranteed to give birth to a pellet. The Life Soul Divine Pellet isn't always the same as the Bone Level Dan, but if it succeeds, it can replicate a strong divine soul. Therefore, the Life Soul Divine Pellet is still very precious. In addition, you will also give them the divine medicine they need, so all of you must work hard. Although the old Iron COC looked impartial in his heart, he was very supportive of Chen Xiang. Even though it was not fair now, but he saw the strength that Chen Xiang had displayed just now, so getting a rank was not difficult at all. Chen Xiang was worried about the divine medicine just now, and didn't expect that the divine medicine would reward him as well. This would make him work even harder to get the reward that he wanted. He took a glance at the other 4 Partic 1p, aiding Pill God. Other than the 6 Realms Divine Palaces Pill God, the other 3 were middle-aged. Most of the young Pill Gods from Dan Hall had all gone to Partic 1p8 in the Compet 1 tie-in with the Gods, so he didn't see much of them. Of these 3, 2 of them belong to our Dan Hall, while the other one actually belongs to our Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. When Chen Xiang saw the familiar purple attire, he immediately recognized it. Luo Tianjun sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. The Purple Smoke Divine Mountain and the 6 Realms Divine Palace that have been able to enter this match have all gone through the back door. They have given those Divine Nations rankers, who are in charge of managing the Compet 1 tie-in, a lot of benefit. The old Iron COC said, I believe the 5 of you must have been well prepared to be able to reach this step, and for the next Compet 1 tie-in, you all need to use your divine medicines to refine the shopping Dan that you think is the most precious, and we will be the ones to prepare the pill furnace. Before he came here, Luo Tianjun had already warned Chen Xiang many times to prepare the divine medicine he was most proficient in. The best would be those that were sold very expensive or very precious. Had Partic 1p aided in these types of Compet 1 Tians many times and he was very experienced with them. Now, he really had to make adequate preparations. Chen Xiang secretly sweated in his heart, because he did not have this kind of preparation before, especially for the Xiaoping Dan's divine medicine. If it wasn't for the divine medicine Yang Tianyi gave him in the star moon HEL, he wouldn't have been able to obtain the Xiaoping Dan at all. There are only 4 hours left. After you have finished refining, in order to let all your friends who are watching the compet. 1 Tian Partic. 1. P. 8. The Xiaoping Dan that you have refined must all be auctioned off, and you are the auctioneers. After the auction, the ranking would be decided by the Shen Yuan stone that were sold. Of course, when the time comes, we will have a special inspection team to prevent compet. 1. Tours from cheating. The old Iron C.O.C. K continued to talk about the rules. Chen Xiang was very clear that if he wanted to win completely, he could only refine bone-level Dan because most of the people that were able to make it here were very strong. They would definitely possess a good Xiaoping Dan medicinal formula in their hands, and if he did not refine bone-level Dan, he would not be able to compete at all. The distribution of the pill furnace was handled by the middle-aged man. After he was done, he solemnly asked, "You guys check and see if there are any problems." Chen Xiang carefully checked the pill furnace. This bucket-sized pill furnace gave him a pretty good feeling, at least it was better than all the other broken pill furnaces, only a little smaller. No problem. Chen Xiang and the other 4 alchemists said. At this moment, the pill G.O.D.S. Partic. 1 P. aiding in the compet. 1. Tian were all nervous because they were worried that the Xiaoping Dan they refined would not sell enough. In order to sell more Shen Yuan Stone S, they had to produce more pills, which were of a higher quality and more practical type. Chen Xiang was clear that the bone-level Dan would definitely be bought by someone else. If he was willing to sell too many pills, then it would be even more expensive. What made him a little worried was exposing that he knew how to refine bone-level Dan, but he had already given it his all. Just concocting a few hundred divine pills in one furnace had already attracted his attention. Let's begin. There are only 4 hours left. You must make full use of this time. Old Iron C.O.C.K. shouted. This compet. 1. Tian was unlike the one before, where there were many preparations, so 4 hours of time seemed to be very sufficient. However, for the pill God who wanted to refine a batch of ultimate Xiaoping Dan, it was still very urgent, because to produce many pills, high quality and a precious Xiaoping Dan, was extremely difficult. The Partic. 1 P. aiding pill GODS immediately took out their own divine medicines, which also made the spectating pill GODS very excited. The pill formulas were all extremely secretive, and if one could see the divine medicines, they might be able to figure out their own pill formulas. At the very least, they would know which pill formulas to use. Even Luo Tianjun, Liang Gaoi, and the high-level divine pellet GODS, like Xiao Chengel, were looking carefully at the divine pellets that the divine pellets were taken out. After Chen Xiang took out the bone-level Dan's divine medicine, both Liang Gaoi and Xiao Chengel immediately frowned, because they didn't recognize any of the divine medicine. On the other hand, old Iron C.O.C.K. often saw it. Because Feng Yujie often went to Supreme Hall to put up purchase announcements, he often had these divine medicines, and the purchase price Feng Yujie offered was also very high. Luo Tianjun did not know either, but he could guess what kind of delay pill Chen Xiang refined. He never thought that Chen Xiang would obtain it so quickly. Previously, he did not even support Chen Xiang's high profile, but now, he felt that it was nothing. He understood the attitude of the divine nations towards Chen Xiang. He also knew that after this round, Chen Xiang would have to leave. There were many rankers in divine nations spectating the compet that I.Tian from the side, but if it was said that his status was the most ennobly, the one with the highest status should be that red-clothed man. He was a pil god, and a prince of divine nations at that. There were many rankers in divine nations spectating the compet. 1. Tyon from the side, but if it was said that his status was the most n, the one with the highest status should be that red-clothed man. He was a pil god, and a prince of divine nations at that. Within the divine nations, the divine lord was the strongest. As a prince, his strength was definitely not inferior to Chen Xiang's. When the mysterious prince saw Chen Xiang take out the blood-bone divine flower, heavenly tendon GRAS, and 7 love divine flower, his entire body trembled in shock. Young master, aren't these divine medicines supposed to be used to refine bone-level Dan? It was nothing to him to have these divine medicines, but why would he have bone-level Dan? This is your master's signature divine pill. In the entire 9 GODS nation, only 4 king grade and pil GODS are able to refine bone-level Dan. Excluding your master, the other 2 are already dead, and the crippled and crippled are both missing. He was a follower, and this was the divine pill that his young lord was most proficient in. The pill formula actually ended up in the hands of someone else. The old follower raged, "Young master, I'll capture him right now and force him to reveal where the pill formula came from." "No, keep watching." The red-clothed man was a very special prince, and had a sense of belonging to someone who stayed out of worldly affairs. He said, "Besides my master, there are other pil gods who know of the bone-level Dan's pill formula. It wouldn't be weird if it would spread. Furthermore, when I thought about it earlier, my master was responsible for giving the Supreme Divine Palace the pill formulas, and I felt that he must have done it when the bone-level Dan was here." The old follower was puzzled. Why did your master choose to do it himself? Such a precious pill formula, yet he casually threw it to such a Ned place. If it was in the divine nations, who knows how many Supreme Dan gods would fight over it? The red-clothed man smiled faintly. "I also don't know why Master did that. In short, Master definitely has his reasons, since Master is able to become the overlord of our divine nations. Moreover, he is our divine nations' #1 alchemist He definitely wouldn't do something so stupid. From the looks of it, this bone-level Dan's pill formula was in the hands of an interesting person, and that person even knew heavenly alchemy. Master is truly a genius, and now I want to see to what extent this Chen Xiang can be refined to, can be considered as me secretly competing with him." The old follower shook his head. He felt that this young master's incomprehensible actions were all learned from his master, because the two were too similar. He felt that his young lord and prince had a pretty good status in the eyes of the divine lord, and his master also had a great amount of authority and talent, so he was naturally extremely talented. As long as he fought for it a little, the throne would definitely belong to this young lord and prince, but he didn't have the heart to fight for it, and would just let nature take its course. When Chen Xiang previously obtained the bone-level Dan's pill formula from the Dan Heart Pavilion, he was extremely confused why such a precious pill formula would be in this kind of place. He did not know that this was deliberately placed by an outstanding pil god, and furthermore, the pil god's disciple was watching from the sidelines. This batch of bone-level Dan must be refined well, and must be used to the utmost in order to obtain the middle-grade life soul pellet recipe. A very determined voice sounded in Chen Xiang's heart. "Yu Jie, do you know what divine pill Chen Xiang is refining?" The vermilion bird was extremely curious and sent a sound transmission to Feng Yujie, because everyone could see the confident expression on Chen Xiang's face. Feng Yujie smiled and replied, "When he is done refining, when the auction will begin, wouldn't you already know about it?" Feng Yujie was actually trying to keep her in suspense, and keep her in suspense. She scolded with a smile, "Yujie, you're still as naughty as ever." Xiao Chou came to Luo Tianjuan's side and said, "Old Master Luo, can we buy the divine pills that my master refined?" Luo Tianjun patted his bald head and laughed. "No, you cannot buy him from someone he is familiar with, otherwise it will be deemed as a failure. You don't have to worry, when the time comes, the divine pills refined by your master will definitely be fought over by a bunch of people. To be honest, even I want to SNATCH it." Mu Chen was also intrigued and asked, "What kind of divine pellet is this? Camel, you can already tell?" Luo Tianjun smiled but did not speak, as though he would not say it now. "Xiao, do you know what kind of divine pill it is?" Seeing Luo Tianjuan smile, Mu Chen asked. Xiao Chang'e shook his head. "I can't think of any shopping dan that could be robbed by Lao Luo right now. What kind of divine pill is this? I don't even know what divine medicine it is." Yue, who was hiding in her bag, also knew what kind of divine pellet it was. She only hoped that Yang Tianyi, who was fusing the star divine soul in the secret room, would finish it quickly, because that star moon ancestor emperor was already slowly approaching and Chen Xiang was also constantly courting death. Inside the building at the side, the middle-aged men who wanted to capture Chen Xiang were also extremely curious. They wanted to know what kind of divine pellet Chen Xiang was refining, because they had seen before how the 3 types of divine pellets Chen Xiang took out were bought at high prices in the divine nations. You all saw it just now, this Chen Xiang's pill refining skills are extraordinary, this definitely originated from the heavenly alchemy. We must get our hands on the heavenly alchemy, that way we can secretly cultivate a group of alchemy GODs who can quickly refine pills. Before long we will also have a pretty good power, and we can also become stronger by relying on a large amount of divine pills. The middle-aged man in black armor said. When the other middle-aged men heard this, they were slightly shocked. "Is he trying to rebel?" A middle-aged man's voice trembled. "No, we just do not want to be annihilated. We need to have a certain level of strength, and if one day we are cleansed, if we do not have a certain amount of power, we will definitely die. You should all be aware that the various divine lords are preparing to pass down the throne, and our divine nations has 12 princes. At that time, we will have to stand in teams." Middle-aged man in black armor coldly snorted a few times. The other middle-aged men did not say anything, but when the time came, it would definitely be the divine nations' storm of blood. This was also why the divine nations that Yi Bidong had mentioned had met with trouble, but he did not know why the 9 divine nations would pass down their throne at such a short period of time. Chen Xiang was currently using all his strength to refine pills, and he did not know that danger was approaching. The Star Moon Ancestor Emperor had long since woken up, and even though they were on the way here, Yang Tianyi still did not appear. Only Yue was extremely worried, because she could clearly sense that the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor was approaching. Mu Chen was chatting with the White Tiger. His expression suddenly changed and said softly, "They're here, divine lion race. We expect to arrive in about 6 hours. Xiao Chang'e also quickly found out the news. They had sent spies far away. They would send them messages if anything happened. Come on, I'm going to teach that little BASTARDA lesson." The White Tiger was extremely furious when it thought of Qi Yan's death. Although the divine lion race came, Luo Tianjun and the others did not tell him, afraid that they would affect his performance. Although the divine lion race came, Luo Tianjun and the others did not tell him, afraid that they would affect his performance. And Yue wasn't worried about Prince Divine Lions, but that Star Moon Ancestor Emperor. All the rankers present could resist the attacks of the divine lion race, but when the Ancestor Emperor made his move, if the rankers from divine nations did not make their move, no one here could win against him. Mu Chen had already prepared himself for the divine lion race's attack. He and Xiao Chang'e were both hall masters of the 2 shrines, plus their hall elders and the White Tiger Vermilion Bird, They felt that it would be very easy at that time. Thinking about it, Mu Chen was no longer nervous, but he suddenly received a message. Mu Chen and Xiao Chang'e had arrived at the transmission at almost the same time, and their faces became extremely solemn. Star Moon Divine Race is here too, and it's even the entire Star Moon Divine Race's most powerful force that has been mobilized. Even the Patriarch of the Star Moon Divine Race is here. What is going on? Mu Chen said in shock. I also just received a message. If the Patriarch of the Star Moon Divine Race comes, wouldn't King Leonis, the Patriarch of the Divine Lion Race, appear as well? Xiao Chang'e's face did not look good. They had just started the compet. 1. Tian, and such a thing was already happening. If they could not resist it, the two great shrines would be in a lot of trouble. Xiao Chang'e said, It seems that I have to call all the clan elders of my 6 realms divine palace over. If the 6 realms divine palace and the supreme divine palace joined hands and were unable to resist the 2 divine beast races from the beast divine palace, then the human side of the divine hall would truly be too weak. Mu Chen looked at Ibidong, who nodded his head and then left. Clearly, he was going to inform some of the old experts who were cultivating in seclusion. Many of the people watching were in high spirit. They had no idea that a great battle was approaching. The compet. 1. Tian of the inferior tier Pil Go D could be concluded in half a day. Now, all he had to do was wait for the other pill refiners to finish refining the pill, and the compet. 1. Tian would be over. The 5 Pil Gods were currently desperately trying to refine the most precious divine pellets they could, but in truth, this rule couldn't reflect the strength of the Pil God. This was because some of the precious divine pellets weren't that difficult to refine, and it was only because of the rarity of divine medicines. Therefore, many people understood that this rule had been formulated on a temporary basis. As for the reason for changing the rules on a temporary basis, there had to be another reason. Chen Xiang himself felt that this was his plan against some of the Partic. 1. P. Ants from the Pil God realm, because getting first place would allow him to obtain the Life Soul Divine Pills formula, which was probably very valuable in the Divine Nations, and even the experts that were sent by the Divine Nations would not dare to check for themselves, thus they used this method to obtain it. Young master, something's wrong. The old follower of the mysterious prince suddenly said. Speak. The red-clothed man had been carefully staring at Chen Xiang's pill furnace, wanting to see the method Chen Xiang used to concoct from the qi emitted from the pill furnace. The old subordinate said, 2 great armies are approaching. They are the Divine Lion Race and the Star Moon Divine Race, and they are even being personally led by their patriarch. They are Rus. Hi, plusing here aggressively, so they might come into conflict. Should we stop them? The red-clothed man shook his head. No need to bother, we came here in secret. Moreover, Royal Father had said a long time ago that we should not interfere too much in things here. He didn't know that they were all here for Chen Xiang. He was only really looking forward to Chen Xiang's bone-level Dan being born, because he himself was also here to refine bone-level Dan. However, he could only compare it to his master. However, the comparison was different when compared to Chen Xiang. He felt that Chen Xiang was about the same, that he had not had a single opponent for many years, which made him a little lonely. The hourglass was about to leak out. None of the 5 alchemy Gods had finished refining their hourglass. So it seemed that they had set the time. After all, if the duration was longer, it would have a more stable effect on the quality of the elixir. The first one to finish was the old man from the 6 realms divine palace, followed by Chen Xiang and the others who also finished it. Chen Xiang grasped the time very well. It was not too difficult for him to use 4 hours to refine the bone-level Dan, it was just that he needed to use his full power. We will proceed according to the order of the later auctions. The divine pills in your pill furnaces must be kept secret for the time being. The person in charge of the evaluation was the middle-aged man, while old Iron C.O.C. K was only in charge of starting. Chen Xiang frowned. He thought that he could immediately open the lid of the pill furnace, but if that was the case, he would be at a disadvantage, because he was the last one to complete the mission. The other 4 pill G.O.D.s were definitely not weak. If their divine pills were all good, then when they finished auctioning off the first round, the number of Shen Yuan stone in the hands of the people present would definitely not be many. But it was not absolute because everyone was refining shopping dan and the majority of the people who bought the shopping dan all had low cultivation. On the other hand, the people who bought the bone-level dan were different. Thinking about this, Chen Xiang relaxed a lot in his heart. He was not worried at all about selling his bone-level dan to those real rich people. The old man from 6 Realms Divine Palace was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with confidence. He opened his pill furnace and took out 3 translucent pills. Divine Deity Pill. Shopping Dan S that can help profound G.O.D. condense the second Divine Deity are relatively rare and precious, especially to profound G.O.D. The middle-aged man exclaimed, "These 3 Divine Deity pellets are all of high quality." He could condense the second Divine Deity and become a G.O.D., but this stage was very difficult for many profound G.O.D. Even if they had the confidence to condense the second Divine Deity, it would still take a while to do so. If they could condense it immediately, even if they had to pay a few Shen Yuan stone, they would still be very willing. Other than profound G.O.D.s who had the urge to buy them, there were also many G.O.D.s who wanted to buy them for their own juniors to quickly break through. And most likely, the profound G.O.D. would only be able to compete with their stronger G.O.D. or G.O.D. There were only 3 pills in total, so it was obvious that the bidding war would be very intense. Let's begin now. We will not set a low price and we will bid as we please. The middle-aged man was in charge of opening the auction. He was also a pill G.O.D., so he could have thrown out the bone-level dan just now. 500,000 Shen Yuan stone. When someone shouted, many profound G.O.D.s started to shout. The scene was extremely chaotic. However, the middle-aged man was extremely powerful. He could hear everyone's voices, and could even tell who these voices came from. 2 million is the highest price this old man has called out. The middle-aged man pointed at an old man on a walking stick in the distance. To have such a price just for a shopping dan, this could be considered to be very good. The regeneration dan that Feng Yujie refined was only 1,000,000 Shen Yuan stone. And that was not the end, because there were still people raising the bid. The bidders were all spectating at the side of the plaza, while the ones with more money were on the pavilions beside the plaza. If these Tyke.O.O.Ns were to make a move, these people on the side would definitely not be able to compete with them. The bidders were all spectating at the side of the plaza, while the ones with more money were on the pavilions beside the plaza. If these Tyke.O.O.Ns were to make a move, these people on the side would definitely not be able to compete with them. 3 million already, are there any more bids? The middle-aged man shouted, his voice enveloping the entire square. Everyone could hear him clearly. 1,500,000. The old voice was unhurried, coming from those pavilions. If it was someone from the pavilion, even if someone intentionally offered a high price, it would be difficult to judge. But a shopping dan that could sell for 2 million was already considered rare. If all 3 of them could be sold at this price, then it would be 6 million Shen Yuan stone. The final rankings were calculated based on the total bid. It would be difficult to surpass a single batch of shopping dan and 6 million Shen Yuan stone. No one continued to bid, and an old man came to the pavilion, paid the Shen Yuan stone, and took the divine deity pellet and left. That old man was from the heavenly G.O.D. D Lake, so he wasn't the type to raise prices on purpose. There were still 2 divine deity pills to be auctioned. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, he once again began his noisy bidding, and the price quickly soared to 1,000,000 Shen yuan stone. When it reached this level, it basically quietened down. After a few more rounds of bidding, the price had actually risen to 200 Shen yuan stone. And the last pellet, also auctioned off 1,700,000 Shen yuan stone, bringing the total up to 5,700,000. These Shen yuan stone also all belonged to the 6 realms' divine palaces, Pil G, Od. A pot of shopping dan was able to earn that many Shen yuan stone, which made many inferior-grade Pil Gods exclaim in their hearts. Therefore, the pressure on the partic 1p. Aiding Pil Gods was extremely high, and only Chen Xiang was able to easily earn that many Shen yuan stone, so he believed that the bone-level dan was definitely not inferior to the divine deity pellet. However, it was only effective for Gods and demi-Gods. This kind of divine pill was also quite useful, especially for Gods who had the same 5 attributes as themselves. Eating this kind of divine pill could help one break through the bottleneck. This Pil Gods standards were not bad. In such a short period of time, he could produce 3 pills in a single furnace. After all, they were not using heavenly alchemy like Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang secretly sighed with emotion. This super G-O D realm was indeed a crouching tiger and hidden dragon. The price of 3 5-elements Dan S was 1,300,000, 1,150,000, and 1,000,000. Adding up, it was 3,450,000 Shen yuan stone, a lot less than the price of the old man. The third Pil God was from the Supreme Divine Palace, and he was refining a kind of strange divine pellet, which was the one that had a strange usage, called bone-shrinking divine pellet. This kind of divine pill is rather rare. After consuming it, one's bones will shrink and become a child. After the bones have shrunk, the strength of the body will not weaken. In addition, the body can develop its bones and muscles again through cultivation, and the process of development will also strengthen the body. This is a rather unique method of strengthening the body. That middle-aged man was very knowledgeable about pills, and explained in detail the uses of this G-O-delay pill. However, if the body is too strong, or has too many divine deity, eating it will not have too good of an effect. Eating below 3 divine deity is the best, including 3 divine deity. At this time, everyone had a certain understanding of this G-O-delay pill. Especially those who were tired of living, they also wanted to experience the feeling of rejuvenation. After all, this was a rare G-O-delay pill, and its uses were quite good. Perhaps it could be sold at a higher price. There were only 2 of them in total. After a round of compet 1. Tian, they were all sold out, the first one being sold for 1.8 Shen yuan stone, and the second being sold for 1.7 million. There was a total of 3.5 million, which was 50,000 more than the previous 3 5-elements Dan. Being able to get such a high price for a single pellet was beyond Chen Xiang's expectations. After all, he did not understand the curiosity in many people's hearts. The 4th type was the Blood Sea Divine Pellet, and the one who concocted this pellet was also from the Supreme Divine Palace, just like the one before, who looked like a middle-aged man. The Blood Sea Divine Pill was rather famous and rare. After consuming it, one would be able to produce several vats of blood, but he would not suffer a huge loss of strength. The quality of the blood he released was also extremely high. Sometimes, refining pills or equipment required a large amount of his own blood. Of course, the thing that used blood the most was to refine one's own divine weapon or divine weapon. These things consumed the most blood. If one took 1 Blood Sea Divine Pill, they wouldn't have to worry too much about their vital energy being damaged after being drained, so these things were extremely useful. There were only 2 blood sea divine pills, so Chen Xiang guessed that the final price should not be too low. Sure enough, after a while, the 2 blood sea divine pills were sold. Each pellet of 1,800,000 Shin Yuan stone added up to a total of 3,600,000, which was 100,000 more than the previous pellets. At this time, it was finally Chen Xiang's turn. As long as Chen Xiang's divine pellet was sold, he could immediately decide his ranking. Everyone present was deeply impressed by the terrifying amount of pills that Chen Xiang had produced. Many people present hoped that the Xiaoping Dan in his furnace would be like the ones before, piled up inside like beans, so that they would have the chance to buy these divine pellet. How many will it be? The fact that he could refine it in 4 hours was already not bad. When I first started refining low-quality bone-level Dan, I was only able to do so after a period of time. The red-clothed man was a little nervous, as if he was about to begin the battle. As Bli Prince of Divine Nations, he had not felt such excitement in a long time. Whether he won or lost, he would definitely feel satisfied in his heart. This was because it had been a long time since he had held such a compet. 1. Tian, even though he was the one who had thought too much about it and was fighting with Chen Xiang alone. At this moment, Feng Yujie and the others were also looking forward to it very much, especially Luo Tianjun. Because he knew that Chen Xiang was refining bone-level danes, but he didn't know how many of them. Mu Chen and Xiao Chang'e were also looking forward to it, because they knew that the divine pellet Chen Xiang refined was not an ordinary one. Right now, they seemed to have forgotten the 2 approaching great armies of the divine beasts, as they waited for Chen Xiang to open the pill furnaces. The entire audience was silent, their hearts shouting, "Hurry up and open." Carrying the pill furnace, Chen Xiang walked to the side of the middle-aged man, because he wanted to give the middle-aged man a look at the quality of the divine pellet. Chen Xiang brought the pill furnaces up. The next thing to do was the middle-aged man. These pill furnaces were originally theirs. After refining, they would have to take them back, and after Chen Xiang took the Shen Yuan stone, it would be fine. Chen Xiang brought the pill furnaces up. The next thing to do was the middle-aged man. These pill furnaces were originally theirs. After refining, they would have to take them back, and after Chen Xiang took the Shen Yuan stone, it would be fine. The middle-aged man was also very curious about the pill refining compet. 1. Tian, he was in charge of supervising it. Previously, when Chen Xiang took out the bone-level Dan's medicinal ingredients, he did not recognize any of the divine medicines. Now that Chen Xiang brought the pill furnace up, he couldn't wait to go up and open the lid. There were 6 supreme Dan beads inside. Although the experts on the pavilion were far away from the center of the arena, they could still see the 6 divine Dan beads inside the pill furnace and were unable to recognize them. These 6 bone-level danes were milky white in color. When the middle-aged man took them out from the pill furnace, he let everyone see more clearly. Of course, what they were most curious about was what kind of delay Dan were these 6. They were not precious. "Young master, is this a bone-level Dan? Why is it different from the one you refined? I remember that you refined it with a light yellow color." The old follower exclaimed in surprise when he saw the 6 pure white divine pellet. The red-clothed man frowned, and did not say a word, because he was also not sure if it was a bone-level Dan or not. "I am also clear because what my master refined is also light yellow. However, the divine medicine he uses is indeed the 3 that are needed to refine bone-level Dan." Xiao Chang'e asked curiously, "Old Luo, what exactly is this divine pellet? I've never seen it before. Didn't you say that you would know once it's out of the oven?" When Luo Tianjun saw the 6 divine pellets, he was stunned for a while. Luo Tianjun had never seen bone-level Dan before, but he knew from the books that bone-level Dan were light yellow in color. What divine pill is this?" the middle-aged man asked Chen Xiang awkwardly. He was already experienced and knowledgeable. Not only was he unable to recognize the divine medicine that Chun Xiang was refining the pills, he could not even recognize the completed products of the divine pills. Many people suspected that this was a divine pill that Chun Xiang himself created. If it had a good effect, it would sell for a good price, but he needed to prove the effectiveness of this pill. Bone level Dan. Chun Xiang said one word at a time. Everyone in the plaza could hear his loud voice. Hearing these words, everyone was shocked, but they did not believe it, because all the pill G.O.D.s present had understood from their books what a bone-level Dan looked like. Right now, it was completely different from Chun Xiang's. The middle-aged man said, "But this bone-level Dan is different from the ones in the books. I come from the divine nations and have personally seen the bone-level Dan. As for your color, it is pure white. Furthermore, the aroma of the medicinal pills is stronger. It is completely different from the bone-level Dan I know." The red-clothed man inside the pavilion also nodded his head, because the bone-level Dan that he had refined himself was exactly the same as what the middle-aged man had said. At this moment, he also could not believe that Chun Xiang had refined a bone-level Dan, and perhaps it was because Chun Xiang had produced too many pills in one go. Chun Xiang smiled faintly. Before, he had also read about bone-level Dans, and it was indeed just as the middle-aged man had said, but the reason it was different now was because his method of refinement was different. His method was to bring out the best of the divine medicines, original source refining, but a bone-level Dan of the highest quality. "Senior, then have you eaten bone-level Dan before?" Chun Xiang asked. "I have never eaten before, even in divine nations. Bone-level Dan are extremely precious. Low-rank bone-level Dan is also priceless, and even if I had Xin Yuan stone, I wouldn't be able to buy it." The middle-aged man shook his head. If there was really a bone-level Dan in front of him, he would definitely buy it too. Chun Xiang asked again, "Then, senior, did you manage to cultivate bones?" The middle-aged man in front of him had an extraordinary strength, and he was even a pill G.O.D. Chun Xiang guessed that his strength had already surpassed, said the supreme G.O.D., and people with this kind of strength would really want to cultivate bones. No. The middle-aged man looked a little helpless, because up till now, there was no direct method of cultivating bones. Chun Xiang said, "Then, senior, if you eat my bone-level Dan, can you confirm that this is a bone-level Dan?" The middle-aged man thought for a moment. "Yes, I know what it feels like to eat a bone-level Dan. Although I have never eaten it before, I can definitely tell it from the feeling described in the book." "All right, in order to prove it, then I'll give you one, senior. This is my gift to you." Chun Xiang smiled slightly. In his heart, he was also quite depressed. The bone-level Dan that he refined were the best, and the things that were recorded in the books were not good enough. The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment, then placed a bone-level Dan into his mouth. When the divine pellet entered his mouth, the feeling described in the book immediately emerged. The middle-aged man's face was filled with ecstasy. It seemed like he could already confirm that this was the bone-level Dan. "This is the bone-level Dan. Upon eating it, it feels exactly the same as what is written in the book, or maybe even stronger. Could it be that your divine pellet is of better quality, so the color is different?" the middle-aged man said with a trace of excitement in his voice. After the middle-aged man confirmed the news, the plaza immediately erupted with noise. The bone-level Dan had appeared, and it was for sale. Even in the divine nations, it was something that had a price but no market. If it was auctioned here, the price could be imagined, not to mention a higher quality pure white bone-level Dan. The red-clothed man above the pavilion looked at the people in the plaza and whispered, "I must buy one. I must personally confirm if it is a bone-level Dan. Even Master cannot refine a white bone-level Dan, while he can only refine 6. With young Master's wealth, it won't be a problem for him to buy them all." The old follower said, "If this is a fake bone-level Dan, then we must make this brat look good." the red-clothed man said. If I'm not lying, then the materials must be real. The middle-aged man had eaten one of Chen Xiang's bone-level dan, so he was in a hurry to conserve the medicinal energy, in case he wasted all his energy on it. When he was done with all of this, he would have to refine the medicinal energy, and maybe trigger the chance to condense the bone-level dan. Everyone should know the value of bone-level dan, so when you bid, you should have a rough idea. The middle-aged man said, "Let's begin." Xiao Chang'e was shocked. This is really a bone-level dan. Could it be that Master Guo is right? The quality of the pills Chen Xiang refined is the best, thus the color is different. The middle-aged man in charge of supervising the compet. 1. Tian was Master Guo. Since he had the Tli, he must have some status too, and he himself had interacted with bone-level dan before, so his words were authoritative. Obtained the bone-level dan's pill formula from the Dan Heart Pavilion. At that time, I was worried that he would attract trouble, so I made him hide it. The old man in charge of the Dan Heart Pavilion knows about this as well. At that time, I told him to keep quiet. Therefore, since Chen Xiang has the bone-level dan's pill formula, there is no need to doubt this point. Luo Tianjun said with certainty. Looks like he has already found the bone-level dan's divine medicine and can refine it. Obtained the bone-level dan's pill formula from the Dan Heart Pavilion. At that time, I was worried that he would attract trouble, so I made him hide it. The old man in charge of the Dan Heart Pavilion knows about this as well. At that time, I told him to keep quiet. Therefore, since Chen Xiang has the bone-level dan's pill formula, there is no need to doubt this point. Luo Tianjun said with certainty. Looks like he has already found the bone-level dan's divine medicine and can refine it. The white tiger laughed. What a pity we can't go to bid. I think it's time for me to prepare to cultivate my bones, since it's very obvious that this thing will increase its strength. Luo Tianjun laughed. You don't have to worry, this guy can casually refine 6 pills. When the time comes we can find him and buy them at a friendly price. Very quickly, the first bone-level dan that was auctioned off shot up to 3 million, but each pellet was sold for this price. Now, he could already confirm that Chen Xiang was the first in the compet. 1. Tian. The bidding was extremely intense, and there were even some experts from the divine nations who were having difficulty buying bone-level dan. Now that they could meet one here, they would naturally not let it go. They all believed in Master Guo. Master Guo had tasted it himself and confirmed it. That was why they believed it to be the truth. In the blink of an eye, it was 7 million Shen Yuan stone. Previously, when Chen Xiang obtained the bone-level dan, he already knew that although it was of low quality, the price would definitely surpass that of many Zhongping dan. If it was a middle-ranked bone-level dan, then the price would be even higher. Chen Xiang felt that refining a batch of bone-level dan was much more worthwhile than refining many of them, and the amount of spirit pearls he used was even less. If he and Feng Yujie were to dual cultivate a live slain method, condense a large amount of spirit orbs, and then refine bone-level dan together, then, before long, there would be more and more rare bone-level dan. 10 million. The red-clothed man lightly shouted. His voice had an innate aura to it. Although his voice wasn't loud, it contained an imposing aura that made many people in the pavilion quieten down. The ones who were fighting the most fiercely were the experts from the divine nations. These experts all came from different divine nations, and they were in charge of observing the compet. 1. Tian and came here to see how the development was going. When they heard the red-clothed man's voice, they didn't dare to raise the price anymore. This was a prince of the divine nations, the son of a divine lord. Even if they were stronger than the prince, they didn't dare to offend him. Chen Xiang was able to deduce something from this. Previously, it was 1 million Shen Yuan stone, but now there was only a voice of 10 million, it was completely silent. Yue said to Chen Xiang through sound transmission, "He's a member of the divine nations' imperial family, I can't forget about his aura. I never thought that someone with this ident 1. Tai would actually come, it should be something like a prince. As a Pil God, he knew that the Divine Nations' royal family had very high expectations for the Pil God. Therefore, he thought that Chun Xiang would have a bright future, but he did not know that Chun Xiang and the Divine Nations had some contradictions with each other. The first bone-level Dan was sold for 10 million, and the person who came up to buy the divine pellet was the red-clothed man's old follower. Although they did not manage to buy the first one, there were still 4 remaining. The rankers from Divine Nations could only hope that the Prince of Divine Nations was not too greedy and would snatch the bone-level Dan from them, the small fry. He himself knew how to refine bone-level Dan, of course he did not lack this, even if he did not know how to refine it with his ident. 1. Tai as the Divine Nations Prince, it would be easy for him to get bone-level Dan. Young master, are you sure? If it's fake, then I will immediately go kill that brat and fool around with him. The old follower was extremely sincere towards this prince, and couldn't bear to see this prince suffer even the slightest bit. After the red-clothed man finished eating, he lightly sighed, and looked as if he was sincerely convinced. It's a real bone-level Dan. It's much better than what I and my master refined. The light yellow color that master and I refined can only be considered to be of low quality, but his was close to that of the peak quality. If we were to sell it in the Divine Nations, 20 million Shin Yuan stone would be considered very cheap. He mocked himself. It seems like I've picked up a big bargain. The old subordinate saw that his young master had received such a huge blow and became angry. Young master, this must be because of the heavenly alchemy. If you possess the heavenly alchemy, you can definitely be like him, or even surpass him. I'll help you snatch the heavenly alchemy right now. No. The red-clothed man indeed had a trace of intention to snatch the heavenly alchemy just now, but he told him in the depths of his heart that he could not do so, because this would go against his original intentions. A prince of birth, with guidance from a master, with abundant resources. But in terms of refining bone-level Dan, Chun Xiang had far surpassed him. We can't touch him. The red-clothed man spoke very sternly. He understood his old follower very well, which was why he was so strict with him. The old follower nodded and sighed. Chun Xiang sold all 5 bone-level Dan, for a total of 67 million. He was very satisfied with the price. Of course, if he were to sell it in the Divine Nations, it would sell for even more. Chun Xiang has obtained first place. This is the Life Soul Divine Pills medicinal formula and ingredients. Master Gui gave the rewards to Chun Xiang and even gave him a storage bag. There were tens of millions of Shin Yuan stone inside, and he did not want to make Chun Xiang's bone-level Dan for nothing. By doing this, he would leave a good impression on Chun Xiang. After Chun Xiang received the prize, he quickly left the stage. Just as he walked out of the plaza, Yu immediately transmitted her voice to tell him about what just happened. He walked towards the pavilion that Feng Yujie and the rest were in, which was at the side of the plaza. Just as he reached the bottom of the building, he saw a few figures flying out from upstairs. At the same time, roars of lions erupted outside the city. The divine lion race is here. The elders of the Supreme Divine Palace all flew to the top of the city wall, while the divine lion race and the star moon divine race were outside the city. Feng Yujie brought Shui Bingyan to Chun Xiang's side and said, Hall Master said, the transmission array here is usable. What are your plans? Would you like to teleport out of here or stay here? Of course we're staying here. Where's Big Brother Yang? Yang Tianyi had actually not recovered, but Divine Lion Race and Star Moon Divine Race had already come. He could guess that the reason why Star Moon Divine Race had come was because Star Moon Ancestor Emperor had called him. Yang Tianyi was still fusing with the Star Divine Soul that Yuer had given him, and the time needed to do so exceeded Yuer's expectations. Yang Tianyi was still fusing with the star divine soul that Yuer had given him, and the time needed to do so exceeded Yuer's expectations. The experts from the divine nations also wanted to watch the show, because when they came, they were instructed not to interfere in the matters of especially the conflicts between some of the forces. To the divine nations, the weaker the forces here were, the easier it was to control them. Yuer said, Yang Tianyi is still in closed-door cultivation, he should be coming out soon. Let's go up the city wall and take a look. If that stupid bear comes, then we won't dare to act rashly for the time being. There's the Prince of Divine Nations here, so he will more or less worry about him. The Compet 1. Tian had also been suspended as all the Supreme Divine Palace warriors ran up the walls. Chen Xiang and the rest arrived quickly as well. Standing on top of the wall, they saw a large empty S.P. A.C. with hundreds of gigantic silver lions outside, all of them dragging gigantic caravans. Other than these, there were also many different colored gigantic lions, all of which were divine lions that the divine lion race could not transform into human forms. On the other side, there were many star and crescent beasts in human form. There were many of them, several tens of thousands of them, and their overall strength was very strong. The divine lion race's gigantic divine lions were set up outside the city. One of them was even taller than the city walls. The other divine lions roared suddenly, the sound waves shaking the city walls. The sound waves spreading far away could be heard. All the mountains were collapsing, the earth was being torn apart. This kind of grand and imposing aura was extremely shocking, causing many weaker humans to tremble in fear. Divine Lion Race, does our Supreme Divine Palace have no enmity with you? What does that mean? Mu Chen was not scared by the aura, she floated in the air, and asked loudly with a loud voice. His voice was like thunder, but the aura of a man was not any weaker than the roars of the lions. You bullying the princes of our divine lion race is equivalent to bullying our entire clan. This is an irreconcilable hatred. This is the reason why we have come. Now we will give you two choices, either to fight or to kowtow to our divine lion race and apologize. An ice-cold voice came out from a carriage house. This must be the patriarch of the divine lion race. Divine Lion King. It was impossible for him to kowtow and apologize, and this matter was caused by the Prince Divine Lions being too arrogant. Mu Chen was only wondering, Divine Lion Race should not have gotten into a fight over this, but now, other than Divine Lion Race, there was also another Star Moon Divine Race. Star Moon Divine Race, what about you? You all don't have any arrogant princes who would come here to humiliate themselves. Mu Chen was already prepared for battle, so he did not hesitate to speak. There was once a little white cat that appeared in your Supreme Divine Palace, wasn't there? We came here for this. This kitten is still with you, so as long as you hand it over, we will leave immediately. If you don't hand it over, then we can only fight. An old man with long white hair floated in the air and spoke to Mu Chen. Yuer was right here, and she wanted to say something, to delay a little, and only need to wait for Yang Tianyi to come out. From the looks of it, they were evenly matched, and if they were to fight, both of them would definitely suffer, while the Star Moon Divine Race was still hiding behind them. Even if the humans could suppress the beasts, the last one laughing would definitely be the Ancestor Emperor. He had yet to make a move yet, and was waiting for the best opportunity. Yuer had been plotted against by that Ancestor Emperor back then, and she was extremely clear about how sinister that Ancestor Emperor was. Mu Chen and the others only knew that the little white cat was with Chen Xiang, but he wasn't with them right now. Last time, your Star Moon Divine Race sent an elder over. That little white cat left by herself long ago. That elder confirmed it too, so she isn't here. Mu Chen said. Right now, he did not see the little white cat following Chen Xiang either. Then we can only look for it ourselves. The old man from the Star Moon Divine Race sneered. Let our Divine Lion Race attack. A giant lion had already rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Moreover, the entire body of the lion was still emitting intense flames. As it ran, its steps shook the earth continuously and cracks had already appeared on the ground. This divine lion that was as tall as a city wall was very strong, possessing the strength of the great God level. If it were to charge over like this, it would definitely cause harm to the protection arrays of the heroes gathering Divine City. At this moment, the white tiger and the vermilion bird were already prepared to sell them and repel the massive blazing demon lion. Yao, stop! When the voice was heard, a figure suddenly appeared above the giant lion. Chen Xiang and the others were very familiar with this voice. Hearing that voice, Chen Xiang knew that Chi-S Hi Plus was here. He was the real Leonis. As soon as Chi-S Hi Plus arrived, those divine lions who had yet to take form all crawled down, as if they were wars. Hi Plus pinged their emperor. A long time ago, Chi-S Hi Plus gained a lot of prestige in the divine lion race. And those giant divine lions here were all teachers back then, so they naturally remembered Chi-S Hi Plus' aura. Chi-S Hi Plus had gone to the Lion Emperor's tomb, so for him to be able to return at this time, he must have already obtained the inheritance of the Lion Emperor. The gigantic flame lion called Yao had already stopped. He was listening to Chi-S Hi Plus' words very much. Yao, I once told you that you would grow up to be a big man in the future. Now, sure enough, it was a pity. Yen is dead. Chi-S Hi Plus clenched his fist tightly. His killing intent surged, enveloping the entire divine city. Black clouds instantly covered the blue sky, and streaks of blood-red lightning danced about incessantly as thunder roared. The Yen that Chi-S Hi Plus was talking about just now was his little brother Chi-Yen, in other words, his super-old fire beast. After knowing that Chi-Yen had set away, the divine lions that were crawling on the ground raised their heads and roared loudly, their howls filled with sorrow. Mu Chen and Xiao Chang'e, the two hall masters, were naturally aware of Chi-S Hi Plus' situation. They were very surprised that Chi-S Hi Plus had come at this moment. Yen was killed by that Prince Divine Lions. Chi-S Hi Plus bellowed, his eyes shooting out two rays of golden light which entered a gigantic RV. Little b, a, s, t, a, r, d come out. With a furious roar, Chi-S Hi Plus shattered the carriage into dust. Prince Divine Lions had already lost his usual calmness and fear filled his face, because he had never felt the anger of several hundred divine lions gathered together to such a terrifying degree. Within the divine lion race, most of the divine lions were bred by Chi-S Hi Plus back then, and now that they had grown up, when they found out that Chi-S Hi Plus was still alive, they only recognized him as their king. Divine Lion King could not sit still any longer. He stood up and said coldly, "Everyone, don't believe him. He is just a loser." His appearance was similar to Prince Divine Lions's. The current Divine Lion King and Chi-S Hi Plus were brothers as well, but they had a different mother. Chi-S.H.I Plus' arrival allowed Chen Xiang and Yuer to feel a little more at ease. At the very least, this could delay Divine Lion Race and Yuer for a period of time. Chi-S Hi Plus' arrival allowed Chen Xiang and Yuer to feel a little more at ease. At the very least, this could delay Divine Lion Race and Yuer for a period of time. At this time, if the Ancestor Emperor came out, even if Chi-S Hi Plus came out, it would be very difficult. The Divine Lion King floated in the air, the golden armor on his body shone brightly in the sun. Although the Divine Lion Race Divine Lions did not listen to his orders, he was still confident that as long as he could kill Chi-S Hi Plus, the lions would follow him. They only followed the strong warriors. Back then, Chi Plus was one of the strong war gods in the divine lion race, so when these divine lions saw Hi Plus's appearance and felt his aura, they all pledged their allegiance to him. I am a failure, but you are a coward. If I did not risk my life that year, the divine lion race would have been annihilated, but you actually hid behind my back, and waited for us to die so you could take over the throne of the divine lion race. If it wasn't for the fact that I used my life that year, the divine lion race would have been annihilated, but you instead hid behind my back, and waited for us to die so that we could take over the throne of the divine lion race. Hi Plus looked at the terrified Prince Divine Lions and shouted. The Divine Lion King was unable to refute this point. Although the Divine Lions present were idiots, they still remembered these things, because they respected the strong warriors and respected the brave warriors. Back then, Chi Yen and Hi Plus had both sacrificed themselves to protect the divine lion race, and they had all remembered this point. The largest flame lion suddenly roared. The sudden explosive roar made everyone's heart jump. The flame lion also spat out a ray of flame, aimed straight at Prince Divine Lions. Humph! The Divine Lion King immediately flew over and waved his palm. At the same time the blue light flashed, the terrifying flame was refracted. At the same time, a blue mist of air dragged a long tail of light, shooting towards the gigantic blazing divine lion like a meteorite. Although the blazing demon lion king was gigantic like a mountain and strong enough, the one attacking him was a prince of the divine lion race. Such a powerful force was not something he could withstand. Seeing that, Hi Plus roared. At the same time he rushed towards the blue mist, his body releasing an intense white light, directly scattering the blue mist that was condensed with a terrifying power. In the blink of an eye, Hi Plus broke through the ball of air and arrived in front of the Divine Lion King. The moment this warblade appeared, all the lions let out earth-shattering roars. Lion King's warsaber, you went to the Lion King's tomb. The Divine Lion King was shocked. To be able to obtain this in the Lion Emperor's mausoleum meant that Hi Plus had already obtained the recognition of the Lion Emperor. Hi Plus did not speak further. The blade had already slashed down rapidly. The blade contained Hi Plus's anger and strength. The moment the blade was unleashed, a powerful roar came out from the blade. The entire ground immediately caved in, flying up with layers of stone and earth. A gigantic black lion vaguely appeared in the midst of the dust. This slash was extremely terrifying. The Divine Lion King had been trembling when Hi Plus had attacked, especially when he saw that this was the Lion Emperor's blade. He had already lost the will to fight with Hi Plus. Divine Lion King dodged the blade, but Hi Plus's blade was not aimed at him. It directly slashed at Prince Divine Lions, who was so scared that he could not move due to the blade's power. The moment the sword slashed down, it was as if a black lion had drilled into Prince Divine Lions's body. The Prince Divine Lions let out a miserable roar, and transformed into black fragments. Hi Plus. You actually killed my son. As the Lion King looked at the scattered black fragments, his entire body trembled in anger. Your son deserves to die. He killed the warriors of my divine lion race. Even if I do not kill him, the members of the divine lion race will not let him go. Hi Plus's strength had actually become so terrifying. After killing the Prince Divine Lions, his warblade had already reached the neck of the Divine Lion King. At this time, everyone could see that there was a layer of faint black mist on the golden armor of the Divine Lion King. Seeing this mist, Chen Xiang immediately looked at the white tiger beside him. Tell me, why did you come here? The trouble caused by your son is not enough for you to use the power of your entire clan. Hi Plus asked. The Divine Lion King was weaker than Hi Plus, hence HI Plus had even more prestige in the Divine Lion race. Divine Lion King did not reply. He looked at the long-haired old man from the Star Moon Divine race. The old man waved his hand, and a red light shot out and struck Chi's HI Plus S blade. With a ding sound, the blade in Chi's HI Plus S hand was almost knocked flying. It was also at this moment that the old man from the Star Moon Divine race came to the side of the Divine Lion King. "You are transmitted to Chen Xiang. This guy is our Star Moon Divine race's Star Moon Beast King." Chi's HI Plus seemed to recognize the other party as well and frowned. "It's you? I didn't expect you to be at this height." His cold old face raised a stiff cold smile. "Chi's HI Plus, you better not bother about today's matters. You can leave now. I guarantee that you will still be able to live in the future. The matters of your Divine Lion race will be resolved elsewhere, as long as you don't meddle in today's matters." "So what if you are the Star Moon Beast King? My Divine Lion race's matters are not up to you to cause trouble. Don't tell me that I want to kill this fellow, and have you nod your head?" Chi's HI Plus sneered. "Don't think that I don't know about that samsara sacrifice thing. For you BASTARDS to have such strength today, you must be sacrificing that little white cat." Chi's HI Plus S words caused the Star Moon Beast King's expression to drastically change, because this was their Star Moon Divine race's secret. They could not let anyone else know about it, nor should they let the clan members of the Star Moon Divine race know about it. "I didn't want to kill you, but you talk too much." The Star Moon Beast King bellowed angrily. A ball of red fire burst out from its palm and flew towards Chi's HI Plus at a close distance. Looking carefully, it was a meteorite that carried a terrifying power. Slashed with his back, at the same time as the blade Chi split the meteorite apart, it shot towards the Star Moon Beast King. At the same time, a roar came out and the White Tiger had already launched its attack. This was one of the 4 protectors of the Beast Divine Palace in the past. Now that he had regained his strength well and grasped the very mysterious and terrifying power of the Law of Darkness. "Ancestor Emperor, save me!" He was very surprised by the sudden appearance of the White Tiger. With Chi's HI Plus and the White Tiger attacking him, he could only die. When Chen Xiang heard the Star Moon Beast King's roar, he immediately told the White Tiger and Chi's HI Plus, "You guys hurry up and leave, this Ancestor Emperor is very powerful." Chen Xiang had just finished sending them the sound transmission when a blazing star that was over 10 times the size of a city descended from the sky swiftly. When it pressed down, that scorching aura made everyone feel as if they were in a furnace. Chen Xiang had just finished sending them the sound transmission when a blazing star that was over 10 times the size of a city descended from the sky swiftly. When it pressed down, that scorching aura made everyone feel as if they were in a furnace. When Mu Chen and Xiao Chang'e saw it, they immediately soared into the sky. The vermilion bird was also involved, followed by Old Iron Sea, OCK, Luo Tianjun, Zhu Xiangyuan and the other elders. Fortunately, they were high up, so they were able to block in time. The flaming star landed in a mountain forest far away. A violent earthquake came. The Green Mountain Range was pushed to the ground by the flaming aura. The scorching fire spread out to a radius of 1,000 miles. At this time, the entire Heroes Gathering Divine City and the Supreme Divine Palace were being attacked by the flames. The flames were wreaking havoc on the land, and the villages near the Supreme Divine Palace had all disappeared. A large part of the forest was destroyed. Everyone was incomparably shocked. If that star had directly landed on the Heroes Gathering Divine City, then the entire Divine City would have definitely disappeared, and this place would have turned into a deep pit. In a few moments, this entire place had turned into a sea of fire. Only the Supreme Divine Palace and the others had not been affected. The red-clothed man floated in the air and looked down at the raging sea of fire. He exclaimed, Where did this guy come from? If we fall into the city, we might even suffer. The old follower was furious. Young master, you must tell Divine Lord about this matter, you were almost killed just now. The experts from the divine nations were all extremely shocked. They never thought that the dispute in the Super God realm would actually reveal such a terrifying expert. They were already considered strong, but the power of the Ancestor Emperor was enough to kill them. Not long after the Sea of Fire appeared, it began to rain. In the blink of an eye, the fire was extinguished. Moreover, the ground was even frozen. At this moment, a young brawny man walked out from the ice. This man had thick eyebrows and big eyes. His fierce face was full of anger. He did not get angry, but his appearance alone gave people a sense of fear and oppression. This was the stupid cow that Yue and Yang Tianyi always spoke of, the Ancestor Emperor. He specializes in consuming young stars for cultivation, but those young stars are all of good quality. He can devour all kinds of stars with different attributes, so it's not strange that he can use both ice and fire. Why is Yang Tianyi that bastard still not out yet? Yue was extremely anxious. Even divine nations and those guys are afraid now. They probably won't be able to withstand it. If this stupid cow brought 1 or 2 more stars over, Divine City would be gone. It was obvious that it was this fellow who released the stars, and everyone felt that it was definitely not a real star, but rather someone condensed the power of a terrifying star in an instant. Thinking of this, everyone shuddered. Hand over the kittens and you'll be fine. Ancestor Emperor's voice was Hoa. It sounded like fled thunder that covered the entire sky. Seeing the appearance of the Ancestor Emperor, the Star Moon Beast King became more confident, but at the same time, the group of elders from the Star Moon Divine race all rushed forward to attack the White Tiger and Hi+. When the Vermilion Bird saw that the White Tiger had been surrounded, it didn't care too much about it and immediately rushed over. Mu Chun, Bidong and the others were also chatting with the White Tiger previously. The kitten is hiding in this direction, I can sense it. Did you mean to hide her? Alright, I'll kill you guys first, then slowly search for it. A flaming long blade appeared in Star Moon Ancestor Emperor's huge palm and chopped at the White Tiger from afar. Just as the White Tiger was about to be hit, it turned into a cloud of black chi and dodged. At this moment Hi+ and the others were fighting with the elders of the Star Moon Divine race. What they did not expect was that another gigantic star appeared in the sky. This star was much larger than the previous one, and it landed on the Supreme Divine Palace and the heroes gathering Divine City. If it were to smash down again, it would definitely turn into ashes. The rankers from the Divine Nations did not plan to intervene at the moment. They were happy to see the strength of the Super God realm weakened, and it was a good thing for them. The gigantic flaming stars emitted red light, enveloping the entire sky above heroes gathering Divine City. At this time, the people from heroes gathering Divine City all flew out and looked at the sky from inside the Divine City and the shrine, as if they were pressing down from the heavens. Chen Xiang immediately flew high into the sky. He only wanted to use his own strength to stop the formation of the falling spirit stone, but at that moment, he saw a big fellow standing on top of their shop in the sky. It's Yang Tianyi. He came out, he's on the roof of the shop. Yang Tianyi must have definitely been shocked awake from such a huge commotion, and he must have fused with the Star Divine Soul at such a critical time. Yang Tianyi stood on top of the building. His palm faced the sky and released a ray of white light. The white light that he released was only the size of an arm. Compared to the gigantic flaming star that could cover 100 cities, it was simply too small. However, just as the white light touched the blazing star, cracks appeared on the surface of the blazing star. Following that, Yang Tianyi's white light became a little thicker, bigger than a water jar, and pierced through the entire star. At this moment, everyone could see that not only did this intense white light pierce through the stars, it also caused the surface of the stars to be filled with cracks. It even slowed down the falling speed of the stars. "Stupid cow, you're nothing much." Yang Tianyi laughed out loud, and the white light that was originally the size of a water jar suddenly became extremely huge, enveloping the entire fiery star. This beam of white light appeared for a very short time, almost in a flash, and then the blazing star vanished with the white light. After Yang Tianyi extinguished all the stars, he instantly flashed high up into the sky, then flashed outside the city walls. Standing in front of the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor, the two were of average height. When Star Moon Ancestor Emperor saw Yang Tianyi, he frowned. "I don't know you, why are you meddling in my affairs? Who exactly are you?" "Only the Divine Nations has someone with such strength. But Divine Nations promised me never to interfere in my affairs." "You don't know me, but I do. You are the famous star-swallowing divine cow in Star Law Divine Realm," Yang Tianyi said indifferently. When the Star Moon Ancestor Emperor heard this, he immediately took a few steps back. "Are you the enforcer?" Star Moon Ancestor Emperor shouted in shock. "No, but killing you is enough." Yang Tianyi did not waste any more words. His fist had already smashed into Star Moon Ancestor Emperor's face. Star Moon Ancestor Emperor was immediately sent flying far away, and he could no longer be seen with the naked eye, but the battle here continued. This was a battle between White Tiger Chi-S, HI+, and the rest of the Star Moon Divine race. At this moment, many people were confused. According to the clues they had gathered, all of this was caused by a kitten. This is ridiculous. For a little kitten, he almost destroyed a divine city and shrine. If he did not experience it personally, he would not have believed it. "It's really dangerous, we were almost finished just now." Jiang Xing laughed as he came to Chen Xiang's side. He had initially gone to look for Chi-S, HI+, but it seemed that he had already found him. Chen Xiang immediately recognized him from his aura. He was the white crocodile of the Beast Divine Palace back then.